Hello, everyone. Welcome to Indie Game Club. Checking over here to make sure mic is working, sound is working. Looks like we're all good. Hey, everybody. My name is Michael Zhithko, founder and executive director of Potions and Pixels nonprofit. So excited to have you all here today for another Indie Game Club. This is honestly the Potions and Pixels does a lot of stuff. Definitely check out our website. But this is the thing I look forward to the most each week because it's just a fun way for us to just talk indie games, something I love so much. I know the four people joining me here today love indie games. You've seen them here before. This is a great group of people. Super excited to discuss 5 indie games this week. Without further ado, I'm going to toss it over to everybody so you guys can see. And if you're not familiar with Indie Game Club, make sure to follow, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We have fun every week. It's like a book club, but for indie games. That's how we describe it. So every week we play through a bunch of indie games. You can play along with us, and then we discuss them every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Actually, before I toss it over to this wonderful panel, shout out to, thank you, Fangirl Review, friend of the show. We love you, and thank you for cheering so much. Really appreciate the love, for sure. Hopefully you guys like these new American Girl Courtney themed. Jordan's sitting there. He's just in amazement. I put a lot of work into this. This is what I do in my spare time.
You've done a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm really excited about this look right here. Check out that Courtney music video, by the way. It's been really popular in our household with me and my daughter. Maybe more so me, embarrassingly. But we got 5 games lined up for you today. Half the games, or over half the games we're covering today, are kind of mashup crossover games. So I think you guys are going to be really interested in this. But let me go through these real quick. We got Return to Castle Monkey Ball, Tactical Crisis, Super is Hot, NERTS Online, and One Night Stand. So we always try to bring you a mix of different styles of games and always give you a different mix of opinions. So I'm super excited to hear what everybody thinks of all of this. Fangirl Review saying no more Courtney. LOL. Courtney's not going away. Let me tell y'all this. Courtney's here to stay. All right, let me toss it over to this awesome group of this panel, the guests, whatever you want to call it, this amazing group of individuals who join us here every week to discuss these games. To the right of me, if you're watching right here, is Legend of the Star. Legend, you want to introduce yourself to everybody and let them know where they can follow you?
Hello, guys. No more Courtney. How dare you? Courtney's an integral part.
Courtney's a member of the show.
Of Indie Club. I had to stand up for my girl. So I'm Legend of the Star. I am the goddess of indies. I'm a part of the stream team that's local here called the Athena Alliance. I stream indies just like the name says. You can find me on Twitch, Snapchat, but careful with the Snapchat stuff. I probably shouldn't have said that. Wait, what? Okay, so Instagram, Facebook, at Legend of the Star. I stream usually about 3 to 4 days a week, and generally around 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I play all kinds of different indies, so if you guys have any games that you want to suggest, you're more than welcome to just DM me and send them my way. But thanks to Mike here, I get like a fill of a whole bunch of indies all at once.
I love
which
it.
is amazing to me.
And shout out to you as well. Like, I love anytime I see you like pop up with a message and like a recommendation. I'm super excited. Can't wait next week. We gotta.
I know. I'm excited. I saw that on my Twitter feed and I was like, I must send this to Mike.
I'm super excited about it. Let's clap it up for Legend of the Star, everybody. Thank you as always so much for being here. If you're at home, we expect you to be clapping too. We want everybody clapping out here. Let's keep that energy alive.
Oh, Tony. Almost missed it.
Tony rolling in his snuggie here. All right, let's move on over to Xavier in the top right corner. Xavier, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hey, guys. I'm Xavier. I'm founder of Full Time Geeks. It's an online calendar and directory for geek and nerd things in the local area. Right now, it's kind of under construction, but stuff I have been active with has been with my music stuff. I'm amateur DJ and producer, and you can find my stuff on SoundCloud, Mixer, and look at my stuff on Instagram.
Love it.
On Nomad0x.
Xavier, yeah, if you don't mind sending me those those links, maybe in the Discord right here, and I can put those up in the Twitch as well. Legend, Jordan, and Tony as well. If you guys want to send me anything, I need to fix this. The one thing I spent all this time getting the Courtney stuff going, and I need to fix all the leak stuff here. Let's clap it up for Xavier. Thank you so much for being here. Always appreciate you, my friend.
Yeah.
All right, Jordan. Let's introduce you, my friend. So glad to have you back on again here.
Yes, so happy to be here. Hi, I'm Jordan. My gamer handle is Tempest. And if you want to check out my stream, I stream at twitch.tv/Tempest636. I usually do competitive StarCraft 2, and I'll do RPGs and indie games. And I kind of dabbled in speedrunning the original Dark Souls a little bit too. And I have a few games lined up that I haven't played before, even though they're old, and I'm excited. So definitely keep your eyes peeled. But always excited to be here and to be back checking out new indies.
Always love having you, man. Let's clap it up for Jordan. Thank you so much for being here. And want to give a special shout out to two individuals who couldn't be here today, but we love them dearly. Angelic Layla and Derivative. Let's clap it up for them as well. Potions and Pixels Indie Game Club MVPs. Love having them as always. And last but certainly not least is Tony Taiga 90. Tony, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Tony Taiga 90. You can actually find me really on all gaming platforms. Definitely right now I'm very heavy in Xbox, so Tony Taiga 90 on Xbox Live. I'm a big retro gamer. There's a few games I have in rotation. I have Castlevania Lords of Shadows. Really loving Scott Pilgrim. Just really love that game. I remember, what is it, 2010? I had that for Xbox 360, so now I'm replaying it. Really loving that game. And then also, just because of the Resident Evil stream that just streamed today, I'm actually going to pick up Resident Evil Revelations 2. Start that game. I love Revelations 1, and I played the old PlayStation Nemesis, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, old school, not the remake. Yeah. Loving that. Let's see. Oh yeah, and also I always like to close out and say that, hey, my name's Tony, and I love to play video games.
Love it. Always love having you, Tony. Let's clap it up for Tony.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man, as always. And shout out again to Angelic Layla, who's in the chat. I see dropping all these links for our awesome group here, so appreciate you so much there. Awesome, folks. Well, we got 5 really cool games that we are excited to share with you all today. I think you guys are going to really like this. One of the big things about Indie Game Club is hunting that next, we're like fiends. We're always hunting for that freshest, newest, craziest experience. And that's like the thing that keeps me going, like, to the corners of itch.io. If you're not familiar with itch.io, it's kind of like the source for so many quirky indie games, along with places like Game Jolt and things like that. But it's
like a candy store for indie gamers, honestly.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah,
I feel like I spend more time on itch than any other gaming platform at this point. It's just a fun experience to just go through stuff. And I should say, of course, you definitely want to financially support indie developers, but there are so many free games or name your own price games on itch that you could literally play itch for the rest of your life without being bored. There's just so much.
I usually pay, like, if it says like donate or something, I pay just because I feel bad.
Yeah, shout out, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and a lot of these devs definitely put a lot of amazing work into this. Let's hit up our first game right here. So this game that everybody sees right here is called Return to Castle Monkey Ball. Yes, you heard that right. I'm going to say it one more time because you might wonder what the hell we're talking about. This game is called Return to Castle Monkey Ball. And if you didn't get that, it is a combination of Super Monkey Ball and Return to Castle Wolfenstein. So let me read you a little description right here straight from the itch page, and I will copy this link and put it on there as well. Beloved games, Wolfenstein 3D, created by id Software and published by Apogee Software in 1992, and Super Monkey Ball, created by Amusement Vision and published by Sega in 2001, have crossed paths in this totally free arcade fan game. Fight your way through 8 procedurally generated floors to escape the fortress. Collect bananas and treasures to maximize your score and defeat guards for time bonuses. Just get to the end before the timer runs out, lose all 3 of your lives, and it's game over for you. Are you tough enough to take on this challenge and break free from the grips of your captors? So again, that is Return to Castle Monkey Ball. Let me drop the itch link in the Twitch chat. Definitely encourage you all to check it out. All right, panel. What did you think about this game?
I
Loved
didn't
it.
make
Loved
to
it.
the first level.
I liked it. I liked it.
Yeah,
Let's hear
definitely.
why.
It's interesting because they give a little background, like you're saying. It's literally a cross between Wolfenstein and Monkey Ball. Like I
Yeah.
played Monkey Ball in the past, and I played. And when I mean Wolfenstein, I'm talking about like the old DOS type of
Yeah.
Wolfenstein.
I thought the same thing. I thought the same thing.
It's really, really awesome. So essentially the idea is that each level, there's like 8 or 9 levels. It's a maze. It's a maze. The idea is that you have to collect as many bananas as you can. There's actually 3 metrics. Like once you beat the game, you find out that there's 3 metrics. So there's a lot of replayability because you can go back and get your stats up. But it depends on like how many Nazis you kill. I guess you can call them Nazis.
Yeah.
How many bananas you how many bananas you collect, and ultimately how many treasures you end up finding. And you're going through a maze, and at any time, like if you just wanted to just speed run and just go directly to the exit of the maze, technically, like I said, it's only 8 or 9 levels. But the whole idea of the game is to get your stats up by killing out enemies and collecting bananas.
Yeah. And yeah, they're definitely the old school Nazis, although it's noticeable that for whatever reason they removed Hitler's mustache, it appears.
I
off
saw
of
that
those.
Dude,
Also
portraits on the wall.
right? Oh yeah, so they removed Hitler's mustache, but they had portraits of Hitler like on every level.
As there was in the original Wolfenstein game.
Like I actually went up to like one of the portraits because I was like, "Yo, like, are you sure? Like, this is the dude?" Like, I thought maybe they were like making fun of someone else, but I was like, "But he looks like him. He just doesn't have like the little thingy."
Yeah.
Is that a reference? Because was Hitler's mustache banned in certain country versions of Wolfenstein or something?
I was thinking the same thing. So I didn't do any research on this, but Jordan, I was in the same boat. That so Germany is famous for its game censorship historically. I think they've kind of pulled back on this. But famously in Germany, especially in the 90s, late 90s, like, the era of FPS, big FPS PC games, a lot of games had to change the blood from like red to green. Like I think Half-Life and several of these other games had to even like change the enemy type. Some games famously had to turn the enemies into robots. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we look through that, if that was the reason for that. I'd be curious. Or it might just be like, hey, it's like they want to make it more cutesy, like Monkey Ball, and so there's enough Nazis in the world as is. So let's just remove that. Yeah. So what did you think? Yeah. Thanks, Tony, for that description. I think you nailed it there. Like it's Monkey Ball and Wolfenstein, and you have those kind of metrics in place. Yeah. How did you all feel about the gameplay? What good of a mashup was this? If you heard somebody say, "Hey, I'm going to take I'm going to take Wolfenstein and Monkey Ball and combine them," how would you say this game succeeded?
It was interesting. I want to ask, what did you guys use to play? I ended up using the keyboard. I thought you could use the gamepad.
You know what Tony's going to say. Tony
I use keyboard as well. I probably should have used a gamepad.
Wow. I use keyboard as well.
I use keyboard, and also it was like kind of choppy on my browser. I should have like cleared my cookies or something. I don't know, but like it was choppy, and I was using keyboard, so I was like, man, turning around is so hard.
Oh yeah, definitely. Turning around was super hard.
Did you guys play it in the program, or did you guys play it directly in your browser?
I played it in the itch program.
So when I tried it in itch, like it seemed like it was really choppy, but when I tried it just the straight WebGL version, like it seemed like it ran really smooth.
I did both because I just wanted to see like if there was any type of a difference. So I played both like on this site and browser, and then I also did like controller and keyboard and mouse because sometimes, especially with like roguelike games that have both the compatibilities, sometimes like one is better than the other. When it comes to like mobility and stuff. So I did think that the controller was a lot easier than the keyboard mouse itself. I thought that maybe keyboard mouse would be better because I've never played Wolfenstein. Y'all know, like, I've only been gaming for a short period of time, but I've seen a lot of gameplay of it. And I know enough of it, to be able to sort of work my way around it. So when I saw this game in the little preview, I was like, oh, I knew what it was. I was quite surprised. I was like, hey, it kind of looks like Wolfenstein. I liked it. I had a lot of fun with it. The bananas, of course, are my favorite part.
Yeah.
Because like, who doesn't like killing Nazis and grabbing bananas? You need to make sure your potassium levels are up when you're running around.
Yeah, I felt like this nailed that whole concept really
so
well.
Perfect. It was such a
too.
really good mashup. Yeah, the trailer was perfect. The mashup was like unexpectedly good.
Yeah.
At first I was like, okay, this is gonna be like some weird, like, here goes Mike, give me some weird ass game to play.
Here goes Mike with another Nazi banana game.
Nazi like fast runner. Ooh, I beat the whole game in like 20 seconds. Like, I was like, oh god. But
I did have to go through and collect all the bananas.
My time did get better each and every time that I played it, so I was pretty proud of myself about that. Once I got the hang of like the not dying part, and then but I was pleasantly surprised by this very. I should just turn my phone off when I'm on here.
I would say the difficulty isn't exactly like the highest. Like I said, there's 8 or 9 levels. Technically, you could just speedrun it and just go through the end of every every level. But there's replayability in this game for sure, because there's stats at the end. They tell you your stats and they tell you, hey, you got this many bananas, XYZ. One thing that I cannot give as much blessing to the developer of this game, because in any game club we don't come across this a lot, but there was an actual README file with the controls and the goal of the game. Like, it had instructions of how to play the game and the actual controls of the game. Believe it or not, like that actually does not. It's not as commonplace as you would think.
Yeah, thankfully you and Xavier are the ones that always delve into that. And
I was like, yo, Tony's gonna like this. It tells you how to play
the game. I know.
Yeah, README files kind of went a little bit the way of like old school instruction books. Do you guys remember that? Like how cool it was to like hold a physical instruction booklet for a game?
Oh yeah,
I used to love looking at all the pictures.
It was so awesome, right? I mean, like a lot of those like instruction manuals actually like gave you the story for the game in like a much more detailed way.
Don't even get me started on that. I can tell you right now. I started playing the original Phantasy Star. Off topic, original Phantasy Star. Internet Archives, you can actually look at all of the books for a lot of these games. What you find out is back then, you legitimately could not beat the game without the booklet because there was hints in it. They actually put hints in the booklet. That's how hardcore it was.
Yeah, that's
so
wild.
It's funny because you fast forward to 2020, and there's one game in our list that I was just stuck on, and a README file would have helped awesomely.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that, because like even like games like this, like if you're looking at Wolfenstein and like early shareware kind of days with like Doom and whatnot, like id Software and Apogee, like that was like a common thing that you had to like get the full code, like to unlock the full game, like in the manual or answer some sort of riddle. Like those were like, that was DRM protection, like old school.
The last 2 pages of the booklet will literally be hints, and you're like, well, how the heck were you going to beat this game without the hints?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. They had no idea to imagine that there was going to be a time when there wouldn't be any manuals or anything. Yeah,
and nobody thinks to look up, like nobody looks up stuff anymore because they feel like they're cheating in the game. But it's like, do you want to struggle bus in the game? Do you want to figure it out? Like, do you want to complete it? Because if I get stuck on something, my booty hole's going to like, all right, how do you get to this part? I'm like watching videos.
There's some games in the past. Like, I do not look up Twitch stuff. I do not look up YouTube playthroughs. I barely even look up the trailer. Like, there was one game last Thursday where I was like, oh, okay, when he read that description, it, now that I watched the trailer, the game makes sense. Like, I'm 100% jump into the game, play it, read the README file. If I know the controls and I know the basis of the game, I want to jump into it, I want to play it.
It's a good debate. Like we need to, yeah, this should be a whole like discussion itself. Like how often do you guys go to? Because I mean, like, I think it depends on the game. To me, if it's like a game that's like, especially some of the old school like point and click adventures that are of that kind of LucasArts Sierra variety, like some of those, like my patience is clearly like so different. I don't know if it's just age or like or time has passed where I'm just like not interested in like pixel hunting and like thinking what the developer was thinking in their 90s mind when they designed this puzzle. You know what I mean?
Well, I think we're spoiled by like modern setup of games nowadays. Slight tangent.
Yeah.
My friend is obsessed with Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, and it's a brilliant game. It's a classic, you know, set the stage for free roam games. Yeah. But he sent me a video that's 8 hours long, and it's called a quick retrospective of Morrowind. And I watched it. It took like a week and a half, but I watched it.
Yeah.
But anyway, a lot of the guys' points of that, comparing that to newer Elder Scrolls games, I'll be real quick, is lack of like waypoint finders, lack of like quick instructions and conversations. You had to really read between the lines. Like to beat one quest, you had to talk to this guy enough to figure out he likes poetry and then go find like a poem. Like it didn't tell you what to do.
Yeah.
And like games slowly more and more do kind of hold your hand here and there.
It's funny you mention that, Jordan, because there was like an era, like when you read back to some of those especially like like the early 90s era to mid 90s era like games, like a lot of those developers actually like discussed how they wanted players to kind of, when they walked away from the game, to think about the puzzles. You know, they actively, just like Tony was talking about incorporating the manual as part of the game, they were actually incorporating the idea that you would walk away. I mean, even Miyamoto with Zelda, like one of his goals was he wanted it to be like a social like puzzle experience where people would be at like recess and collectively trying to kind of figure out all these like hidden elements. So it's really interesting because that kind of goes to the whole question of like how we play games depending on the era we're in.
A masterpiece of because I love looking and researching and really reviewing game design. A masterpiece is the original Super Mario Brothers. The reason why it's such a masterpiece in game design is that there was no possible way that you can get through the first level without knowing how to play. Well, I know that sounds sort of stupid to say, but what I'm saying is that in the first 5 seconds, you hit a block, the mushroom comes down. You could not dip and dodge the mushroom. There was only one path the mushroom was coming. You know, it would come to you, you grew. So it's like there's certain games that have like really intelligent game design that like you learn how to play within the first 10 seconds or over time. And I really love, and that's like a really old version, but we can think about like new games nowadays where they introduce new game mechanics or gameplay mechanics later on into the game as you play. Yeah. And those things are beautiful too.
Oh, I totally feel you on that. I think that's the best kind of that experiential learning method of the games that kind of force you to kind of understand the mechanics before kind of moving forward for sure.
Can't BS.
What's up? The continual like tutorial kind of things with certain games, not all of them, but it does like going back to like the old times, like cheat codes were like awesome thing, and they weren't like not like now we have like DLCs and
Game Genie and all that.
Yeah, like Game Shark and stuff and whatnot, and like magazines putting out cheat codes and stuff, like looking all the way towards the back of the magazine because they always have like a list of cheat codes of the week or the month or whatever.
Sure.
And there's not that kind of excitement for games anymore. It's just like you pay a little bit more and you get everything. And
well, I would say mods kind of fill potentially part of that, right? Like when my kids come to me with things on like Minecraft or Roblox or whatever it may be, there's like potential there for hey, look at this, our very own Tempest636 cheering for Courtney. Thank you so much, Jordan. Appreciate you right there. Love it. But yeah, I think like mods, there's like other things. It is interesting. Like I guess we're all of the same generation where we all like are gonna have a different game experience than our children and people after us. Like it's so wild. Like even describing like the original like old school like arcades to my son and things like that, where it's like there's certain things they're just not gonna be able to experience. And it may seem like ridiculous, yeah, like manuals. And a lot of this stuff, it's probably good that it eventually goes away, like physical media in general, to an extent, right? Like environmentally, all these other factors, like it might make sense to get rid of it. But like there's other aspects of it that I think our generation is going to be like the last to truly have experienced.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's why I try to get away from the whole idea of like, hey, you know, like if you're playing a game and you get stuck, you know, of course, look up the answer, you know, or watch a Twitch stream. But the whole idea that I have to watch a video to learn how to play the game, I made a comment about this. It's sort of like watching the movie to understand what the book was about.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not like a super hardcore against that, but like definitely I think like in another 10 years you're gonna see people who like it's gonna be total common fact that like, yo, I'm gonna watch the Twitch video before I play the game and then really probably know all the answers, you know?
Yeah, let me go for it.
Differ with you a little bit with that because there are some people that don't like watching. I mean, I see the point of if you're super stuck and you're spending 2 hours in a section, which, you know, not like I'm talking from personal experience, but if you're like stuck and you're spending like an hour and a half in like one certain section, and you're just like, I just need this one thing to move to like this other part.
Yeah.
There's a difference with that than watching an entire video, entire YouTube thing, so that you can play the game, because it lessens your experience of it. Because everyone's going to have different type of feelings for the game or different type of memories, and I think that's why there are some gamers that love like the collector's editions of things because they just want to have that memorabilia in their home because they have such fond memories of it, or it's such a loving experience, like what you guys were talking about earlier off camera about, you know, the Resident Evil, or I don't know if it was on camera, off camera, but you know, the whole like that's a whole thing, and there are people that have played it from like
Layla in the chat who loves those like special editions and
exactly like that's
I'm talking like first
has
level,
such a memory to it, you know, and I think
I'm talking,
yeah, and I think like you're ruining your experience if you watch a whole video before you actually play the game. It's different to learn like the mechanics or to get stuck, but if you're gonna like watch a stream, like if I know I'm going to play a game, I do not watch that streamer. I don't watch that stream. I don't watch the whatever because, or I may watch it up to a point because they're gonna have a different experience than I will. But I just think that's silly, and you're gonna take the fun out of the experience. You're not gonna have the same type of like wholesome memories than you would if you just sort of dove in and gave it.
That's a good point. Tony, I know you want to jump in here. Let me really quickly welcome, hey, King of the Nerds. Thank you so much. Always love having King of the Nerds in the building here. Want to hear what you all in the audience think about as well. Yeah, Tony, what do you think about that?
Yeah, and I want to take the onus off of the player. I'm talking more of like game design, like, you know, in the developer. Like if I'm in the first level, I don't know what the heck to do. Like, you know what I mean? You know, I take the ownership off the player. Like if you get stuck, like, you know, I've been stuck in Resident Evil before, I've been stuck in Zelda, I'll look up the answer, that's totally fine. You know, but like if, you know, I'm on the first level and I don't know what to do, like I don't know what to do. Like I think that's like a design type of choice or a design type of thing.
Yeah, I see your point with that. Yeah, because I think a lot of developers don't take into account that, you know, people are, you know, not everyone knows how to, like me. I'm not, you know, I haven't played games for years. You know, I've played games off and on, but it's not something that, like, I can't tell you like the history of something really, you know, and I don't think developers sometimes put that in. Like with you, like when you play some of the indies and you're just like, yo, like I didn't know how to play, like I didn't even play. You know?
Well, in a good example,
that's such a relatable feeling though, because like I don't really like to look at stuff before I play a game. And there's this one, like I'm playing this game on stream right now, which is sort of like a side quest mission of this big game called Thimbleweed Park.
Oh yeah,
and it's just like a point and click. It's funny you mentioned that because it's just a point and click puzzle thing. You're just kind of like walking around. But there was this one part where I was just like, what the heck? Like I just have 5 tasks to do, and of course the last one I can figure out. And I'm just like, oh my god! And I'm roaming around the entire game, and this game isn't like a big map. It's just like one side and the other side, and I'm just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Supposed to look at.
That's a good
going on? And it
example of
took me,
like
a
retro
good,
going
30,
back.
45 minutes to figure it out. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, screw this. I'm looking it up because
Sure.
I just can't.
And Ron Gilbert's like one of the. So Ron Gilbert, who was one of the creators of Monkey Island, also like Putt Putt and all sorts of things, is like kind of one of the godfathers of that whole kind of genre, and responsible for a lot of great childhood memories for me. But I totally feel you. Like, I think that's one of the issues with that genre, and I think we've seen a lot of that. And you know, the third game we're going to cover tonight, Super is Hot, which is a combination of Super Hot and Baba Is You, is a good example, probably, of kind of like what Tony's saying, where it's almost it almost kind of presents itself with the expectation that you know about the other games to go ahead. And I think that we've experienced like a change. Like Jordan, you were saying how you were speed running Dark Souls, and to me, like, Dark Souls is a pretty important moment, also like culturally, from like the Japanese side of developers. I don't know if I assume other people may feel this way. I don't know if here, but in general, that for the longest time, like especially in the early 2000s era, that was the era where there was the hand holding was at its most extreme. Like Nintendo was even like patenting things to like literally you can like press a button, watch a video at that specific point to like hold your hand. What was it? The last Zelda for the Wii. What's it called? Not Twilight Princess. The one after Twilight Princess. Skyward Sword. That one, you know, like had wasn't it like multiple hours like of tutorial essentially, like till you really like were like. The hand holding, and so Dark Souls. We can't hear you, Jordan. But yeah, like Dark Souls really changed it to me to where it was like, hey, you can just deviate right off of this. I'm not the biggest Dark Souls fan, but I got a lot of love for it from a design standpoint. And to me, Spelunky and like roguelike games were the ones that are like, fuck you, we're not going to hold your hands. We're going to make hard games whether you like it or not. And then I think people really started to embrace that. What do you all think about that aspect, Jordan?
I was just going to say Skyward Sword is the best example. And, like, I love Zelda games. They were getting stale for a while, but I love Zelda games. I'm sure it's a great game by certain metrics. Like, if you were, like, 13 when it came out, that was your first, or whatever your age, if that was your first Zelda game, probably an amazing game. But me having grown up with them and played so many, then you could go to, like, the Academy and watch a tutorial that literally explains like how to do a puzzle. Like there's so many of them for puzzles that were all throughout the game. I'm like, why is this even in the game? And my brother used to say like, well, just don't watch them, don't whatever. And I'm like, I guess, but I don't know, man. It should teach you. There's a balance. The greater thing of this whole conversation is there needs to be a balance. We don't want you to completely hold our hand and have a tutorial video where I just follow that exactly and go do it. But we don't want it to be so hard that I'm banging my head against the wall. Or like Legend said, like I have to look up guides, extra source guides ahead of even playing the game. There's a balance that you want to find in the middle.
Well, I mean, you can't watch a tutorial inside of the game because it's like watch like a cutscene. You got to watch the cutscene. You're not going to know like what to do with it. So it's weird to put that stuff in the middle of games. That's bizarre.
Here's one thing that, and I am super spoiled, and this is my high horse. This is like because I think if an indie developer can take some time out to put a README file in there. Oh my gosh, that's a blessing.
But should it be, Tony? Like based on what you're saying, it almost seems like the first part of what you were saying was arguing against that, right? Like that the experience, like everything you should know about the game should be in the experience itself.
Well, that's assuming like not everyone's like Shigeru Miyamoto or these because like like have like crazy design experience where they can develop a game that has these tutorials or they even have time to make these. So I'm giving you like you're an indie developer. You're just gonna create the game. You're not gonna create no tutorials or anything. Put a README file in that thing, man. And then another thing, now this is spoiler. This is a spoil for me, like, because I'm a spoiled brat. Either have controller support or put an XPattern profile.
No, we know you are the crusader of controller support. I love having you on for that reason alone.
Like that's any indie developers out there, put a README file in there, or a lot of these are itch.io games. On maybe just on the page, just say like, hey, just you don't have to put like a whole book about the whole game. Just put like a paragraph about an intro to the game, and then just like list out like, hey, these are the controls, like WASD is how to move or something, and then just call it a day. I'll be happy with that.
So one thing I like that you said that, Tony, and for the most part, one of the coolest things I love about itch also is the way it's organized. Is you can look up like subcategories and tags and all these other things. You can also look up inputs. So literally, you can go on itch and say, I want to play games that are like touchscreen games or Connect games or games that use like whatever sort of weird peripheral that only one game was made for. With that said, Return to Castle Monkey Ball still only lists keyboard and mouse. Which did it have native controller support outside the box, or did you guys have to configure that? I know Tony's an expatter.
So this
okay.
So this was native.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. This was native.
Yeah, I tried it, but it didn't work for me.
Okay. Tony, you look like with your Snuggie thing, you look like you're the cult of the controller, like master right here. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you all in the chat as well, whether you're watching live or watching after the fact, like how you all feel about this. This is something I think there's been a recurring thing that we've discussed on Indie Game Club. This whole idea of how far developers should hold your hand or not, and what that does to the experience. I'd be curious, before we go back to Return to Castle Monkey Ball, I can't think of an example immediately off the top of my head, but can you guys think of like a game or even a movie or any type of entertainment where like you felt more enriched once you read like the outside like lore or like a Wikipedia page or the manual or something else? Indie games.
A lot of these indie games. Like there was last one where I was just like, you know what? If I were to like read the page, it would have made so much more sense.
Last week there was
a lot of that.
What was the one last week, Tony, that you felt that way about?
I honestly forgot what it was, but there was one I was like, damn, man.
Yeah.
Like right when you read out that description, that provided so much context to what the heck I was doing in the game.
Yeah, I need to go back and look at what it was.
Was it Angerfoot? It was Angerfoot, or it was no, it was Don't Take Your Eyes Away from the Fridge.
That's right, Legend. You're absolutely right. Don't take your eyes away from the Red Fridge.
There was like a whole story of like how you got downstairs in the basement. And I'm like, you know what? That makes so much more sense now.
Yeah, for sure.
While you're there in your skivvy.
There's definitely been times where, I sometimes have actually been more entertained like reading the lore like on Wikipedia than I did like actually watching a show or reading a book or for whatever reason. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but I know it's happened
for me
before.
it was Darksiders. I was so confused because I didn't know what game went first, because it's Darksiders, Darksiders 2, and Darksiders 3.
Yeah.
And so I was, you know, of course I've only played the games halfway because I got to a puzzle and I got stuck. So I switched to the other game and I got to a puzzle and I got stuck, and so like whatever. So I still haven't finished any of the game, but I didn't realize how intensive the lore is. Like there's not the Lord. Yeah. I'm sorry. The Lord is, because I learned that those games are actually parallel to one another. So during Darksiders, the original version where War is, you know, coming out of his sleep, that actually runs parallel to Darksiders 2.
Interesting.
Where I forgot the guy's name. Death, right?
Yeah. No. It's like the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse sort of thing, right?
Yeah. So he's so while War is in prison is actually when Darksiders 2 happens, because he's trying to figure out, like, basically clear War's name as to what's going on. Now with the third Darksiders, she's just full of herself. So she's just like, whatever, I'm going to do whatever these guys say, because the whole point of the game, and I know we're spoiler intensive here, but the whole point of the game is that, you know, obviously War gets framed, but it was the angels that sort of did this whole mess. And they were plotting against War, because War was kind of thinking to himself, because it was those, I forgot, it's been a while, but those, like, basically the three guys that, like, basically formed the four dead horsemen. He was realizing as he was playing along that this is a little, like, things are fishy. Like, why am I listening to these people? Because whatever they're telling me doesn't quite make sense. So he was sort of becoming more independent instead of just following orders.
And so you felt like, was it through Wikipedia, or what was it that, like, had you?
Oh, I went on YouTube.
Okay,
I did
gotcha.
Wikipedia. Like, it was funny when Jordan was talking about, like, your brother sent you, like, or his roommate say this 8-hour video. Like, it was like, I made King watch it with me. It was like this 8-hour, like, video on YouTube. And I was like, oh, what? And we were like, like looking at books.
So let me put
I'm
this
looking
back
right
to you
now.
guys. Is that a good or a bad thing, though? Like, so what you're saying there, Legend, is interesting because it's like you have a deeper appreciation. Like, but does that, it makes you enjoy the world and the game more?
It made me enjoy the game much more because I understood now. Like, because I was like, what the hell? Because when I played Darksiders 2, I'm just like, well, what the hell? Where's War this whole time? Like, I don't understand. Like, because usually when games come out 1, 2, 3, it's 1, 2, 3. Like, I didn't realize. So when I learned that everything was parallel to one another, when I replayed the game, it made so much more sense as to these like interactions. And I think the other Strife is a prequel to everything that went on. So it's weird how they release the games because it's pretty backwards.
Interesting.
So Mike, to go with you, perfect style those is Metrovania style games. Specifically, you want to look at Castlevania. Those are fun games. You can go in there, you can play the game. They're fun games. You can get it. You can understand it. It wasn't until I became like 20 years old that I realized the Castlevania games has like a whole family lineage of like the people of all the lead characters. Like it's like a whole freaking
clan and everything. Yeah,
it's a whole freaking thing, dude. Like,
Lore, dude.
I thought it was a fun game, you know, and so that's a perfect example of where you could add context to a game that's already fun
to make it deeper and richer.
Yeah.
Speaking to that specifically, Dark Souls is not a bad example, right? Have you guys ever seen like the 2-hour lore videos in Dark Souls where they're like, well, you know, the name of this zone, and when you get his gauntlets, and then look at the description, but then you get his boots and look at the description, it tells you something about this. We can intuit that he was, it's like.
But see, that
put all that
requires so
together?
much effort, right? Like that to me is that's overboard, right? Like I like that it's there, and I appreciate the artistry that went into it. But not only do I think most of that content will not be seen by the vast majority of players, but also I feel like in games like Dark Souls and whatnot, it's not even presented in the most like narrative friendly.
But they're still fun games. I mean, like the lore, it could be separate from the game. It's still a fun game. There's certain instances where it's like you legitimately have to read the book, or you legitimately have to read the booklet in order just to understand how to start the game.
Sure.
You know?
So I completely agree with you, Mike. And the first and I think second Dark Souls were kind of just bad PC ports. Not that bad, but bad in the sense that they don't give you PC controls. It's X, Y, Z left bumper. So you're like, wait, what is this? You know?
Yeah.
So for my whole first playthrough, the first Dark Souls, I didn't even know when you're looking at an item stats how to switch to the item description. I looked at 0 item description. So you're right. But in this day and age, I do like that now that after years of being so into those games, that someone has put the effort in a digestible way in a YouTube video. And even because I love watching those, and even reflecting back to our earlier description of games, compare this to like old Super Mario Bros. Like, how the hell would you have ever figured out that if you like jump or whatever, you can get on top of the thing and can't see your guy on the screen, but then you can fall down and get to those extra warp tubes?
That was a cheat. That was a cheat. That was a total cheat. I mean, I see what you're saying, but that wasn't supposed to be.
My point is,
rumors.
Back then, it's almost like Dark Souls is like not a product of its time, because if Dark Souls came out 20 years earlier, we would have been so obsessed. We would have read between the lines. We would have thought about it outside of playing it, and we would have maybe come to these conclusions because it was more common back then, I think, to do that.
That's a great point. I mean, a great example is like when I play like really retro, my childhood games with my children, is like they're like, how the hell am I supposed to beat this whole game with 3 lives? And like I had to like teach them. It's like, yo, listen, we got these games during our birthday and our Christmas, and I was lucky enough to have my birthday in the summer, and you know, you had Christmas, so like you had to space out these games, and you dug into the lore deep because you and your friends were all talking Mega Man and Mario 3 and flute locations, because we had like a common language as gamers. That's another thing, if we want to go back to the whole idea of things that are kind of getting lost for this upcoming generation, that I kind of feel bad for. Of course, like this Zoomers and whatnot, they have like Fortnite and games and Minecraft games that they all like know about. But like one thing that's different is I guarantee if we went around this panel and all the people who are watching right now, we could all name a game that only we have played, probably, or we're the only ones into. Like the gaming industry is like becoming so segmented in a good way. because now we can play
Yeah.
our niche game. If you're into, you know, squid detective games set in Germany, there probably is a game like for that.
Yeah, everything's so trendy nowadays. If you notice that, like especially since I follow streamer Twitter, because that's sort of like my network. The top 3 games everyone's playing now is Tarkov, Stardew Valley, and oh shit, I forgot the third one. But yeah, like Tarkov and Stardew Valley, like now
Yeah.
everyone's playing it. Like everyone plays on all these trends, and it's like you can't have anything else that you want to play. Like I don't understand why everyone all of a sudden is playing like the same games, and the only reason they're playing is because like some top streamer decided to stream it again and like did some
we need
like
to
pulled
clip
some
this,
bullshit. You know,
this
it's
is
so
why you need
weird.
to join Indie Game Club. Is if don't you want to like be at a you know a post COVID party and just be able to like sip your drink and talk about a game that no one has heard of and just be like,
Right?
you haven't heard of
Right.
Return to Castle Monkey Ball?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay,
was
interesting.
made fun
You're a
of.
gamer?
Mr. Mike over there.
dude.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Crazy,
switch
I
over,
went
right?
to an
Yeah,
event.
gatekeeper Mike. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I get made fun of all the time. Well, what game is Legend playing that we've never heard of? And it's like, you know,
Yeah,
middle
the game
finger.
you should be playing.
you, dude. What's this? I've never heard of this game. Well, okay, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, this
It's a
is
good thing.
why.
It's dope.
Y'all
Yeah.
are so into like your mainstream shit that you're not even giving indies a chance. And I tell people all the time, people sleep on indies. Like they think, and I see this, I think every week, is that people think they're playing a mainstream game. Nah, bitch, you're playing a fucking indie.
Yeah, exactly. You don't even realize it. Or that, or Legend, to your point, like you've talked about this before in the show, is like, or not even that you might be actually playing an indie, but the mechanics that you're enjoying most were derived from an indie, or they were experimental at some point. For sure. Xavier, I know you were trying to jump in here with some stuff. What's on your mind, my friend?
I just lost it.
Oh, damn,
Oh,
I'm
no.
sorry, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Let me get us back here because we still have 4 more games to discuss here, and I know we're super passionate about this. People watching right
man.
now are probably like, they're talking about Return to Castle Monkey Ball. Let me read a couple comments real quick here. Friends of the show, hey, Executioner86, saying I was going to bring up Symphony of the Night earlier. Had fun figuring that out when I was younger. Yes, Castlevania games. You know what? I've played so many Castlevania games. I can tell you nothing about the lore, but I enjoyed the damn experience a lot.
Exactly, because they were good games.
They were
Like, you
solid
just play the
mechanically, for sure. For sure. King of the Nerds saying facts. I don't remember when he wrote that, so somebody made a comment that he said.
It was about what Legend said. It was
Okay,
about
facts, Legend.
yeah.
You get the credit for that
playing
one.
indie games. Don't just follow the mainstream necessarily.
Love it. Yeah, and King of the Nerds next post saying, I enjoy watching Legend play random games. I love it. I love it. And
Okay.
thank you, Amanda Page Wright, for liking the stream. Appreciate you so much. Everybody who's watching right now, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. Appreciate it. All right, Xavier, you remembered your thought?
Yeah, it was going back to what you were saying as far as like back in the day when games were coming out and whatnot. When we didn't have the internet and stuff, there was less games, so we had those games to talk about socially.
Yes.
And now there's a whole bunch of games, but I don't know. At the same time, it's kind of sad in a way because it feels like the only way to connect with people that enjoy the games you enjoy now, especially since there's so many variety, is only online.
True.
You don't have that like in-person connection. Same with like cartoons and stuff and
point.
whatnot from when we were younger. Like it's not just the internet. It's just like with everything being so mainstream now because there's companies everywhere. There's tons of companies. It makes it that much harder. The only times we do get to see it though is when like a new medium comes up or console releases. That's usually one of the big ones where there's a small amount of games, so everyone's kind of forced to play them.
Good point, but not for this lineup, right? This might have been the first console generation that didn't have like killer apps in the traditional sense that were exclusive. It was more like Game Pass carryovers or things that were either multi-generational or multi-platform. But I feel you on that, and that's one thing I do feel a little. I feel for these newer generations that they're not going to fully experience those. But at the same time, like one of the beautiful things about the internet, not only that we can like do this stuff is, but we can connect over like these more obscure games. I mean, hell, we might be some of the only people in Charlotte that have played Return to Castle Monkey Ball or any of these games today, right?
Mhm.
These games are really niche. And back then, I will say one of the things that did suck I guess just to play a little devil's advocate here, Xavier, is that like I remember looking up like I wanted like a mystery game, or I wanted a game like this, and I wanted a game like that, and I could never find it. And now on itch, it's like, oh, you like that type of game? I'm gonna give you 5,000 games like that, and you're not even gonna have time to play those things.
With no README file.
Yeah, no README files.
Oh no! Whatever will we do?
Nothing like that.
You need to cheat code for that.
All right, we got 4 more games, and we only got like an hour left, so we're gonna have to power through this. But any last words on Return to Castle Monkey Ball? I really enjoyed it. I feel like this was like solidly mashed up both concepts. I highly recommend this to anybody who's remotely interested in. If you just hear that Monkey Ball, Wolfenstein combined, if you're excited about that idea in any way, I would say jump on that. Any last words on this?
Short fun game,
Yeah.
but I would definitely say the cool thing about it too is that there is they grade you on your stats at the end. So they don't grade you specifically, but you can always improve your stats at the end. A lot of replayability.
I know you're a fan, on the replayability from that. So I appreciate you mentioning that for sure, Tony. Sweet. All right, let me read a couple comments right here before we jump off. Executioner saying, I've been getting into roguelikes like Dead Cells and Hades. Hell yeah. I mean, roguelikes, that's probably my Hades is freaking amazing. Spelunky, if you haven't played Spelunky, Executioner. Xavier, we haven't talked about this. I lost like a week of my life to Hades. Like I think the last week of 2020 was all Hades. We will, if we got some time at the end of the show, let's talk about that because yes, amazing from a narrative standpoint as well. We definitely want to discuss that. So everybody, that last game we discussed was Return to Castle Monkey Ball. I think I dropped the link. Yeah, I did. I dropped the link in there. This next game we are going to discuss right here is Tactical Crisis. I'm going to drop the link in the chat right now. Now, this next game is it's less of a mashup or a crossover between two specific games and more so like different genres. It was actually made for a really interesting game jam, a Secret Santa game jam. Now, what was really cool about this is people essentially told as part of participating in the Secret Santa game jam, you said what kind of game you wanted, and somebody was secretly assigned to make a game for you. And so this game right here, it says, so Tactical Crisis, an 8-bit style turn-based tactics game with an action twist made for Danny Arnold as part of Secret Santa Game Jam 2020. Tactical Crisis is a short, tongue-in-cheek, 10-minute experience, mostly for giggles. As you can see right there, folks, it's essentially a turn-based game combined with a light gun game, like Time Crisis, which is the namesake there. So, this was definitely different, and I don't think there's any game like this that I can really say. How do you all feel about this one?
I didn't like it.
Oh, you know, okay.
Oh, I love it when we have disagreement. This is my favorite thing. All right, let's hear everybody's thoughts.
I liked it. It's think of XCOM. Think of like it's a strategy RPG, not strategy RPG. What is the tactical RPG? I'm trying to think of it. Yeah, it's SRPG. Strategy RPG.
Yeah.
Tactical RPG. But the idea is that you're tactic. Like think Final Fantasy Tactics. That is a little bit like XCOM. You're literally just going up a tower. You're going up a single tower. And you're trying to save people on each floor of the tower. And which is an interesting game mechanic with this too. So it's like you move tactically like an SRPG. The thing that becomes sort of cool is that each floor that you actually end up I guess beating.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. But yeah, each floor you end up beating, it actually you get another person, and then now you got another person in your clan, and you go all the way up to.
And different weapons.
Sorry, right? I lost my train of thought. I have some issues with sound, so I'll let you guys speak. Sorry about that.
It's actually every other level.
Yeah, let us know, Tony, when you're back on. Is it every other level, Xavier?
Then you get a new guy.
And new weapons, right? Was that the idea? I actually played this game.
Each character had a specific weapon to them. So one was like a gunner. The other one was like a grenade launcher kind of guy.
Rocket launcher, or whatever it said out loud. Right when that was one of my favorite parts. Or what does it say right when it switches to the shoot mode? What was the sound effect?
You guys are going to have to remind me. I actually played this right when it was released. So this is one of the few games I played back in December. Yeah, it had something where it would like you're talking about when it made the transition like to action.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that might be it. It might have literally been
Yeah,
like
yeah.
action or something. Favorite part of the game.
I feel like that part
Yep.
was perhaps a tad bit too easy for my memory. Where once you like
Yeah, it was easy.
transition there, it was a little too just like click, 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 like you were gonna do it. Like I think I did end up losing maybe somebody in like the final boss level or something,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
Also, it has a built-in time limit, but it was always like 90 seconds. It was super long, so it's like, how are you not gonna shoot these people? But
Yeah.
I think this is a framework of a game anyway, right?
Yeah.
Like I wrote all these notes down like I always do, and I'm like, yeah, really great idea, could be fleshed out more. And then I read the description, like you said, it was basically a game jam as a gift. So I'm like, if this dude made this in 24 hours, that's amazing. Like,
seriously.
It's yeah. So of course it's gonna be a little too easy and it's gonna have problems like that. But it was a lot of fun. The concept, I want to make a game with a concept like this. It could be so much fun.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys.
Indie Game Club Game Jam.
We really do.
Let's do it.
Can you guys hear me just fine?
Yeah,
we hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
All
talking.
right, good.
Yeah, can you guys compare this? Like, I guess like something to me more like, I know Tony, you mentioned XCOM. This reminded me maybe a little bit more like Valkyria Chronicles, which is like kind of like XCOM style, but it had that the action part was more active. So it combines the turn-based strategy with a bit more of the real-time combat. I'm not sure if there's any game. I mean, to be honest, when's the last time you guys remember playing a brand new light gun game? Period. Right? I mean,
I know, right?
That's a genre that we haven't really seen in a while. Hey,
and now
guys, thanks for joining us.
Now to understand too that it was a part of a game jam, I gotta do this Easter egg. Did you guys see like after you actually beat the game in the credit or right at the last level? There's a phrase that says "Tom says hi."
Yeah.
Oh, it's like on the you noticed it? Yeah, Tom says hi.
I'm not sure.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's really
That's
cool.
Cute.
Now it makes sense because the guy did it in like one single sitting.
Someone make one for me and say Jordan says hi, dude.
That's cool. Yeah, I love this whole. Isn't that just like a sweet like? That's the really cutest game jam idea. Like I love this idea that and there's actually several of these or a lot of these. You can go onto the itch page. That's another reason you'd think that we're paid by itch. Maybe a future sponsorship here, but that you can actually see all the games that were submitted for these game jams and see the votes the community made and see like what games like won and whatnot. And so yeah, I think this is a really cool game jam idea. Legend, I'm very interested because I think if I heard correctly, I think I heard you say you were not into this one, and I want to know why.
I did not like it. I'm not a big fan of turn-based games. I hate having to wait my turn to do some stuff, and then so the graphics were cool, the concept of the game is cool, and you guys were right. Like having to bust the game out like this in 24 hours, like that's pretty insane to be honest. Like not that many people can do that. I think the last game we played like last week, it was like a week or something, dude. Like
this may have been a little longer.
The game in like a week.
Just sorry to interrupt you. I just for the record, I'm not exactly sure the length of it. It may have been like a week or so, but still a very short amount of time.
Still, like short-term games, and then you bust out with this much content. Like I do appreciate that. Like devs that put that hard work in, just be like, yo, I'm just gonna make a game, a game. Like that's cool. But yeah, I don't like turn-based games. I didn't like having to wait my turn for all this stuff. Like, and then I had to, dude, it was like I had to make, like, you move, and then, like, dude comes, and then you move, and then, like, I just didn't, I just didn't like it.
I feel, did it help? Let me ask you this, because one of the things we love about Indie Game Club is different opinions and, like, people all liking different things, which is great. Did it help that it was a mashup of two different genres? Did you enjoy at least the fact that there was some active light gun component? Or did you like any aspect of it, I guess is what I'm saying.
No, I didn't know.
Okay.
No, I have to say I didn't like it at all.
But those aren't genres you like normally anyway, just to be fair.
Yeah,
right?
no, and I like to give them a chance because I have played some turn-based games that I do enjoy. I have, there's one that's based off of H.P. Lovecraft, that Stygian, Realm of the Old Gods, and I like that. Like, there's certain games that I do like. Like, I may not like all roguelites, but there's some that I jam, quite frequently on my channel.
Neon Abyss and other stuff,
I just can't. I couldn't. It was honestly, I'm sorry, guys, but I found this to be a little boring. Like, I just was not interested it didn't really catch me. Like I was like, oh, like I liked, you know, the concept of it was okay. The graphics were, you know, impressive for having to, you know, put a game with this type of quality out in such a short period of time. But I just didn't. I don't like it.
No, appreciate you sharing that.
And I want to say this: it's actually a fairly short game, so like that's one of the. I mean, Legend probably like so. Even if you guys want to try it, like you could probably. I think I beat it in like 30 minutes or something like that. Not even that. So it's a fairly short game.
Yeah, I looked in the comments and there was a video, and they like. I looked at the video and it's like 11 minutes long, and they beat the whole game.
Well played.
Too.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like was when it got to the first person view, the limited perspective. I get where they were trying to go with it, but I just didn't like there were positions where you should have been able to see more of the other people, but since you couldn't like turn your head or anything.
Going to elaborating what Xavier said and going back to what Mike said, the whole mechanic of two different mechanics, like being able to move in an SRPG manner, but then also get into a shooting format when you use your mouse to shoot people. That actually was not as intuitive to me. Meaning that like I wasn't sure how is it that I'm, you know, being placed in the middle of 4 people, but I'm only seeing one person to shoot? Like, how did it determine which angle or which viewpoint I was facing in order to shoot the? So that was one thing I was a little confused.
Good question.
I think it would highlight the enemies in red wherever you decided to.
Yeah. And I think your kind of general perspective kind of like coned in on like the
I think it's coned
targets. I think you're right there. Hey, Amar, thank you so much for jumping in. Appreciate you. Looking forward to hearing what you think about all these as well. I will say this. So, like, my thoughts about this are that not only do I think this is a really interesting take on mashing up different genres and doing it in a short amount of time, but I think the whole concept of if somebody like gave you this challenge and said, hey, you got a day, a week, whatever it may be, to combine these two genres together, I feel like this nails it in a pretty strong way. I know it may not be perfect, but I think part of that is just these are two kind of semi-incongruous genres that are put together. So I think that is where some of the discrepancies lie. But
I was going to tie into that because you said this guy did it, you know, just based off of like just off the top. Where did you do that at, man? Like, who can I pay to like make me a short game?
I mean, shout out to these folks. Like, honestly, like, I mean, I want to say, I don't know where it is. I remember reading, I think, one of the devlogs. Let me see if I can find his devlog.
Hold on. I mean, they didn't imply payment, but if it was like a Secret Santa, does that mean if you sign up to receive, you have to make a game for someone else too?
So I read through the Secret Santa jam. Let me read it.
Oh crap! Yeah, you're right.
So let me read this real quick. So the idea was that it says, what is a Secret Santa jam? It's an opportunity to make a unique, personalized game or experience for one special person. After signing up, you'll be allocated a person for whom to make a game, a giftee, and a person will be allocated to make a game for you.
It was a trade.
Yeah, well, they did say. Well, I don't know if it's a direct trade. I think it may be like I might be making for Tony might be making for Legend, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly how it works.
You can't.
I did read also that, of course, you know, some people didn't finish games in time, or there was not the expectation that everybody was going to get a game, but in mind fully. But I wish I saw what the actual request, because I swear the people behind Tactical Crisis actually like showed what the request for the game was, and this feels like it nailed that.
I want a survival horror turn-based 2D RPG. You've
actually talked about that on the show before.
Like or at least early. I mentioned that, like, why isn't there, like, you know, 16 or 18-bit, you know, survivor horror games, or at least there's not a lot of them. Like, why can't you just, you know, take Resident Evil and then what is it called, de-evolutionize, or I don't know, de-evolve, digivolve, or some shit like that.
D-Max, right? Like the lower grade, like lo-fi.
D-Master,
D-Master,
Yeah, I feel you on that. We should definitely do.
Didn't someone just do that with Bloodborne? Like a PS1 D-Master of Bloodborne?
I think so.
I feel like I heard that.
Oh shit, I gotta look
It's
that
not
up.
16-bit. I'm sure it's like 64-bit or something, but
The Master of Bloodborne. Okay, I'm gonna look that up.
Shout out
Yeah.
real quick to Bonzana to heck with. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Awesome
For
name.
the follow, appreciate that so much for sure. Awesome. Well, we still got 3 more games to cover. Any last thoughts on Tactical Crisis? I think I dropped the link in here. Hopefully I did. Yeah. Play this. This is all of these we should say that we're covering today are available for free / name your price. If you're unfamiliar with that concept on itch, name your own price essentially means the developers just release the game and say, hey, pay whatever you want for it. If you want to pay 0, that's fine. If you want to pay whatever amount you're down for,
whatever your heart compels you to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, for sure.
Xavier's laughing like, what's wrong with that?
No, because Xavier was talking before the show that he always gives money to the to developers.
Yeah.
That was
Whatever,
true,
whatever
yeah.
is filling your heart.
Especially if it gives you the option to download it. If it gives you the option to download it, I'm like,
Yeah, fuck
yeah, I'm gonna give them money. But the
You're
ones
physically
that are in
getting
the
something.
browser that are just you can just like click and it just starts playing. I kind of don't, just because it's just in the browser. So it's
Yeah.
kind of
Oh, I hear you.
I guess
Yeah.
if there was that barrier between the game and the browser,
Mhm.
then I probably would have paid, but wasn't. So.
This guy's over here Scrooge or something.
All right, let's jump to the third game of the night here. Actually, before I switch to it, everybody who's watching right now, hopefully we get a little participation in here. I see we're getting some good viewership right here. I'm curious. This next game, I'll transition to it, but before we talk about it, how many of you have played Super Hot, and how many of you have played Baba Is You? I'm really curious because 2 games
played
that I absolutely
Super Hot.
love. You've played Super Hot.
I've played
Let me
Super
get a
Hot.
hand.
I've heard of. Okay, yes.
Yeah, let me see hands. How many people like on our panel first have played Super Hot? Any of the Super Hot games?
Yeah.
So we got us. How many of you have played Baba Is You? Okay.
Damn.
So, no, it's
They were-
totally
they were
fine.
really lost
No.
there.
I don't mean no means that wasn't like a shaming bully thing at all.
They was saying like they were really lost. This is the game we were talking about that needed a README file.
Yeah, exactly. That's the reason. Thank you, Tony, because that's the reason I'm bringing it up. Not only do I highly recommend everybody who's watching right now play a Super Hot game. I would start with the original non-VR, just regular Super Hot. Highly recommended. And then I highly recommend you play Baba Is You. I think one of the most innovative games of the last 5 years, maybe long. It's just a phenomenal piece of game design. And I say that all because if you're watching this screen right here and you see that the third game we're playing is called Super Is Hot. Super Hot plus Baba Is You. Super Is Hot. There you go.
Play on words there.
Yeah, and if you have no idea what exactly, and if you have no idea what's going on the screen, you'll probably be confused for a segment of this conversation. And we'll hold your hand. We'll be like early 2000s games, and we're gonna hold your hand and walk you through. How
I played one of the games and I was still confused, so I'm ready for this.
Of course, we have. No, that's fine, Tony. We'll get into that there. Let's see. So we have, of course, our good friend Food Stamps, which is always fun to say his name on here. Food Stamps in the chat. If for those who are watching. If Food Stamps ever says he's known for saying every game is trash, so don't feel offended. He's our resident troll. Whatever his favorite game is.
That had a question mark though. That had a question mark. Was he asking if it was trash, or he was saying it was trash?
We never know what to.
Yeah.
We never know what to do with Food Stamps. Food Stamps is a troll that you're not sure whether to feed or not. But yeah, let's talk about this game. So since I played these, I will do a quick description. Baba Is You, again, phenomenal game that you'll see in some sections of Super. So let me start with Super Hot. That'll be easier. Super Hot is a famous 3D shooter where time moves as you physically move. So if you stand still, time is essentially at a standstill, not fully. But if you move, then time starts moving. So it results in these really cool, like Matrix-like scenarios where a bullet is coming to you, you fully stop, you move out of the way, you shoot people. Yeah. Baba Is You.
That's a really cool game.
Yeah, Super Hot. And they just released Mind Control Delete or a few.
It's on Game Pass too for anybody who doesn't know.
Thank you for that, for sure. Definitely play and in VR. Play all of the versions of it. Mind Control Delete, the newest Super Hot, is actually a roguelike Super Hot, which is really cool. But then Baba Is You is a game where it's essentially a game where you define the rules of the game by moving blocks around that define the rules of the game as you're playing. So if you're watching this right here, it's a combination of both of those. Hopefully you can keep up with what we're saying. Maybe not, but check it out. All right. With all that said,
this is probably the game that you probably should have showed a trailer for.
Yeah, there is a trailer. There's gameplay. There's gameplay right there.
All right, cool.
So if you're watching the gameplay, there's like a shooting section, and then you can edit the rules of the world. So you can actually edit the speed, the movement. Hopefully, I'm making remote sense here, but I definitely encourage you all to check it out. I'll drop a link. All right, I've spoken enough on this. So panel, how did you all feel about this game?
So let me go through. So as someone who is like a big gamer, indie games, everything, but has never played either of these, let me go through my experience.
Yeah.
I've seen the Donkey video on Super Hot, like I vaguely knew of it. Baba Is You, I had no idea. So I'm starting this game. It starts you off with the Baba Is You menu, basically, as you can see down in the little in his little showcase below our faces. And you're moving around text to alter the state of the game, but I just didn't understand. It was just like U is shoot and U is move, and I was just like, what? So I went on Steam and just looked at Baba Is You, just like the intro videos, no like guides or anything.
Yeah.
And I just saw, I was like, oh, okay, like, you know, rock is push, you can push the rock, and then, you know, you move to rock is you, and now you're rock. Okay, I get it. So I went through, I'm like shooting people, I shot them all, I'm like, I shot them, they're dead. Why is the level not over? So I was just like, what is going on? So I actually pulled up a video, not really to my shame, whatever, of someone playing this game. And I was like, oh. And I did get through 4 levels with a lot of head scratching, but I did get through 4 levels after that.
Can I recap? Are you saying that you watched Baba Is You and then you watched Super Hot and then you still you had to watch someone who actually played this exact game in order to understand how to play it?
I didn't watch a Baba Is You guide, and I didn't watch Super Hot. I just watched like the trailer basically for Baba Is You, like the opening video on Steam. Yeah. And then I tried myself. I could at least alter the rules. I just didn't know how to end the level. And if you guys have finished this one, you know you push the super. You spell out super is hot to finish the level. I didn't know.
That took me a while to figure out,
I had no idea that like the number corresponded with the person you killed, and then now the text is there in your you know what I mean?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I actually didn't figure that out until like a couple levels in, and I think the only reason I got through those levels was almost randomly who I killed. But thank you for mentioning that, Jordan, because if you're looking at this, this might help, Tony. Like if you're watching the video, there's these numbers that Jordan was referencing in the edit table, and those numbers correspond to the order in which you kill people. So if you kill somebody and they have a name over their head that says super, is, hot, you, whatever it may be, if you killed the person that has you above their head first, then the number 1 part of the edit table will have you above them. And so it's a really mind-bending game. I will say, for those who are, again, just joining us, for this game right here, you probably want to play both of the other games first.
Game Master. So Game Master, you're like, yeah.
Yo, I didn't know that when I recommended it to you guys. I feel bad about that. I really feel bad about that.
Are you saying that it somewhat stumped you too?
It did. I mean, even Baba Is You, like, as big of a fan of that game as I am, I never like fully finished like every little puzzle, because it gets really complicated. Xavier, so as someone who also has played both of those games, how did you feel like that? How did you feel this matchup?
I didn't get to play this game. I kind of left it for last, because I knew it was going to be one of those that I would want to like figure out, and be like, it would take a while to figure out how to do.
Sure.
Because I played Baba Is You, and that can get really tough. I never finished it, but that can get pretty tough.
Yeah.
And I played Super Hot, but I've only played the VR version, so I was kind of like, there was a whole lot to learn compared to the other ones, especially because I thought I had until the 28th to play all these.
Yes, my apologies. I told Xavier that he would be on the episode next week with these games, and like last night he was like, we clarified.
Oh shit!
So my fault. So he wasn't procrastinating his homework here. I take the full blame for this one.
No, but I definitely see why it would be hard, and I'm probably gonna try it at some point, but didn't get a chance this time.
Yo, this has me remembering a very specific memory of at a Potions and Pixels event that we had at Petra's. Xavier, you might have been there. Friend of the show, Bobby, who's been on this show before. Jordan, you know Bobby, of course. He was playing. I think it was his first time experiencing Super Hot in VR, and he nobody gave him any sort of tutorial, and so part of it is like you can hit things. And he was just punching every one of the red guys like in the nuts and like killing them. You remember that? And so he was like literally. So talk about like experiential experience. He literally, after he beat like several of the levels, and he took off the VR helmet, and people were like, "So how do you play?" And like he was like fully like, "Well, dude, you just got to punch like everybody in the nuts, and you don't have to do that." But he was like, based on like his one time he did it and it got a reaction. Yeah. He was convinced that Super Hot was just a game about like going around and then nut tapping everybody, and he had a whole crowd around him, and people were like, "What the hell is this game? And why is he like hitting every person in the penis? Like, what is going on?" Legendary Potions and Pixels moment. Yeah, Xavier, I remember we had a few of us around, and we were just like blown away by this scene. So, Bobby, if you're out there,
we didn't stop him at all.
No, nobody stopped him.
How far is he gonna go?
I don't think we ever told him. Bobby's still like, if you ask him what Super Hot is, he's like, yeah, that game where you beat everybody off to death.
Dude, now I'm gonna have to like play a game where all you do is just punch dudes in the nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty cathartic there. Yeah, Legend. So what did you think about Super is Hot? What were your thoughts?
I didn't get to punch anyone in the nuts, sadly, but
unfortunately,
I know. Damn it. So I played Super Hot like a little bit.
Yeah.
Baba is You. I've never played, but I've seen a little bit of it. I've heard a little bit of it. So I was able to differentiate between. So I knew like as soon as the screen popped up, I was like, oh yeah, like that's what this game is. It was hard for me, I have to say. Like puzzles are not my friend. Puzzles are not my friend. Like I can't.
It's a hard game.
I don't know what it is about. Like it's like my brain shuts down. It's like math, you know. Like you see like this really long thing, like an algebraic equation, and you're just like, like I don't know what to do with it. So it took me a while to initially figure out the game, but once I got the hang of it, I made it about the same as Jordan. I made it to about like I think like 4 or 5 levels.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't able to complete it because I had a bunch of other stuff going on at the time while I'm playing the game, because children.
Sure.
And I really liked it. I was super excited when you had sent the link to me, because as soon as you send me the links, I'm always like, I go down the list and I'm always at least like peeking it a little bit before I play it. At least the description in the page and stuff. And I was like, oh, it's gonna be like Super Hot. But when you actually play the game, it is not really like Super Hot. So it took me quite a few tries and a lot of mistakes and deaths to like really get the hang of it. But I enjoyed it. I liked it. It was a lot of fun. Like once you start to kind of get used to the game and how like the movement is and how you can actually like change things a little bit to sort of benefit you as the game player. Like I was like, I was impressed. I'd have to say like I really I was surprised at the fact that I enjoyed this game, because like I said, it did really take the best of, but it was a good mesh. It was a good mashup. Like it took Super Hot and it took Baba Is You, and it really just made a baby, and this is what it was. And I was really pleasantly surprised by everything, the graphics, the way that he had laid it out, just like Baba Is You. I mean, it looked exactly like the game itself. So I was stoked. I was pleasantly surprised by this. I didn't think I'd like this game at all.
I'm glad to hear that. I feel that it really did a solid mashup of both of those. We should give a shout out to the developer here, Pyro4, for developing this. It was actually developed for 3 game jams: the 7-day FPS game jam, Proc Jam, and also the Secret Santa Jam as well. So I'm curious. Cool. I would love to hear more about the story of this. I don't know if this had a README file or whatnot.
I would really like to know the story about this, because to think, like, I never would have thought to put these 2 games together ever. Like, I never would have, like, like Super Hot and Baba Is You is not even in the same like genre
Agreed.
at all.
But
It's
it works so well. It really does. And that's the part that blows my mind. Again, like for those watching this, highly encourage you to check out both games, Super Hot, Baba Is You, and then check this one out because it shockingly works well once you've tried those. Jordan, I'm curious, not having played either of those, like what's your thoughts after this show? Are you thinking about going to try both of those and then maybe coming back to this, or did this turn you away from that? What are you thinking?
I mean, dude, the first like 5 or 10 minutes was just trying on my own. I was like, I'm gonna have to give up on this and move on. What the heck? But I was like, no, let's not do that. Let's put in some homework. I mean, like I said, I watched the Donkey video on Super Hot, and so if for nothing else, I just want to hear Super Hot, you know, like cause that's very satisfying to my ears for some reason.
I was waiting for that too, actually.
Maybe, but I'll say Baba Is You. Hearing your guys' description and now getting a taste of the gameplay myself from this mashup, looks awesome. Looks like brain twister puzzle games that are like deceptively simple but not easy.
Yeah,
and that I love those kinds of games. I love them. So especially Baba Is You, I'm thinking of picking up.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. Absolutely, for sure. Food Stamps asking if this is VR. Oh, thanks, Tony, for answering. No, this one is not VR.
Could you imagine though? Like, how would you do? Like, would you be able to like physically move it? That'd be crazy.
Yeah, I can actually see you could potentially do it for crazy as crazy as this is of a mashup. I could see potentially adding that there.
Like the Matrix, literally.
Yeah.
Right. Yo.
Shout out to Matrix 4 coming out at the end of this year. By the way.
Yeah.
Whatever. That movie needs to.
Hey, Godzilla versus Kong, man! I'm ready for that.
That one I'm ready for. That I'm down for. Matrix, man. That after the last Matrix, I was like, really, bro? This is what you're gonna give me? I'm not even. That's it. I shut down.
I'm wanting it. I'm still a Matrix fan. I'm still a Matrix fan. I'm still in it. I know that part 2 and 3 were not. I literally I remember telling my high school teachers like I'm skipping school. I actively told them I'm like I will not see you when Reloaded and Revolution's coming out. I will be in the movie theater, and I totally did. Awesome. And I skipped and went to go see both of those. And yes, they weren't as good. We do see King of the Nerds saying I'm so hyped for Matrix 4 and John Wick 4. Yes, shout out John Wick for sure.
I feel like I've been burned too many times on being hyped for movies for no reason or with little evidence, and so I'm not hyped at all. But I loved the original Matrix. I love Keanu Reeves. Like I you know, like it could be. We'll see. I'm trying not to get upset. So stop talking about it, please.
Yes, that's a good transition right here. Also, shout out to reporting from 20XX. Also, Johnny, thanks so much. Saying what up, peeps? Missed Tactical Crisis. Definitely rewind and check that part out. I loved having you on last week. Looking forward to your next review. King of the Nerds also saying I'm a huge Keanu Reeves fan, only because I've been told so many times I look like him.
Dude, that was like one time, bro.
I want to know what you were doing, King of the Nerds.
One time.
It was like so. Like the first time, we're backtrack real quick because now that he brings it up, so I was playing a game for a charity. I don't know what it was. I forgot what it was. I was playing a game for a charity, and the way that I was set up, because I was in his room because you know our kids were having a camp over, so we were just like sleeping because he and I are like really best friends. So so he's like in the bed just chilling like a dingo dwarf, and then someone popped in and was like, "Is that Keanu Reeves behind you?" And I was like, "I wish Keanu Reeves was behind me. I wouldn't be live right now playing for charity." But it was so funny. Then like a couple times when he was like streaming, he did like Warhammer 40K. He paints miniatures usually, but now he's doing iRacing and. Like he'd wear like the sunglasses, and when his hair is long and he has a beard, he does kind of, I guess, but he always brings that up. Anytime someone talks about the Matrix, he's always like, "Yeah, you know, because you know, I've been told so many times I look like it."
King of the
You
Nerds.
look like if the light hits a certain way.
You need to get some photos and memes going for that King of the Nerds. I want to see it for sure. I want to see you recreate some really famous. What was that scene where he was like tied up like? Oh god, I can't even remember John Wick. Anyway, Anyway, it's always that situation where you try to repeat a movie and it's never you can never do it justice. So that's a good point for me to transition right here. Any last thoughts about Super is Hot before we move on to our fourth game of the night?
I would definitely recommend. What? I would definitely recommend that people play it. Like Tony and I, like we were in the chat, like, dude, like it was such an odd mashup, but it worked so well. And I think that if you don't try it, you're sleeping on this. Like, this is really good. Like, I would definitely look forward to more games from this developer specifically. Like,
I love hearing that, Legend. I gotta be honest, I wasn't expecting that thought from you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I sort of I think I'm based in. Maybe this is a spoiler, but based off the games on these lists, it's just not clicking with me. All of these games have a pattern of being mashed between two different games. Even when did you do that on purpose?
I did a little bit.
Say that in the intro.
It's all part of the plan.
Game Master
Except the next two games that we're about to talk about are nothing. No mashups at all.
The NERTS game was Solitary and Speed together.
It was Solitary and Speed. Okay.
And Speed.
So see, you're right. I was thinking. I didn't even know I was doing it. And I didn't.
One night stand was being ashamed and yeah, I don't know.
Sex and memory.
I might be able to get creative and help you think of a way.
Yeah, Jordan, I know is excited about that one.
It was about how not to behave when you're in your early 20s.
I have a lot of questions about that one. I definitely want to ask you guys about that one too. But before we get to One Night Stand, which is a sexy, like titillating topic that'll hopefully keep the viewers like, ooh.
That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be a fun.
Yeah,
topic.
Exactly.
For the nightcap.
What's that?
That's for the nightcap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the midnight episode.
NERTS, it's literally what it says. It's Solitary plus Speed. The idea is that you can have up to 4 players playing Solitary, and the idea is
Tony, let me stop you right there real quick because I have noticed this. Let me ask this. I have encountered so many people in my life that pronounce it differently, and I'm curious.
NERTS.
Solitaire. I've always pronounced it Solitaire, and yet I've encountered so many people that call it Solitary as well. Like,
oh shit! Yeah, you're right. Solitary is what you get put in prison, right?
Solitary
Prison inside the prison. Yeah.
What was it? Harold and Kumar. You get locked up with Big Bob, and he gives you the special sandwiches.
But one of my best friends growing up, he pronounced it Solitary like so many other people, and I don't know if it's just one of those things where depending. Anyway,
depending like how people say ruler and other people say like raller or whatever, like like potato or potato. Like,
I've never heard that example.
But solitaire, I mean, it ends with an E, solitaire. So like sometimes when you see things in writing but never hear people say it, like when you're young.
But so many people I've in my life have said Solitary as well. That I was curious if there was like a reason like that you've heard it that way or.
Let's look it up.
I don't know. I don't mean to interrupt. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, there, Tony. I was just curious about that. But yeah, keep going with your description, Tony.
Yeah. So it's just Solitaire.
Or Solitary. I don't know.
It's Solitary. It's just Solitary and Speed together. The idea, if you guys can remember the game, the card game Speed, the idea is that you're constantly putting cards into a middle panel between 2 players and to see who can run out of cards the fastest. This game is exactly that. You're playing Solitaire, and the idea is that you're trying to see who can run out of cards.
Tony, you have me feeling bad right now. I promise that wasn't like a call out. I was like literally curious because, like I said, growing up with one of my best friends, he called it that too, and we would always debate that. I was just curious.
But it's one thing I can. So if I had to give my it's pretty straightforward for sure. Like there's no like hitting things up your sleeves. It's a pretty straightforward game. Very competitive, very fun. I actually had a lot of fun with it. I played it with Mike and Xavier, and I got my ass handed to me, man. There's a lot of moving parts you got to pay attention to. But think of playing Solitary competitively if that was a thing.
No, that's a great description. We had a great time last night, and Xavier's microphone was broken, so it's mainly Tony and I talking and occasionally seeing a chat from Xavier. But yeah, exactly what Tony said. It's like solitaire speed,
shit.
and you have this like common area there. So as you guys are watching that video right there, you guys can see you have your own play area, and no one else can play in your play area, but you have that common area in the middle. This game, we should say, is available for free from the awesome folks at Zachtronics. Zachtronics, of course, Infinifactory, Space Chem, so many amazing games. And from my understanding, I briefly looked into this. I didn't do too much research, but I briefly looked into it. I think that they were actually just developing this game to play during COVID with each other for fun. And then it kind of grew from there, and they decided to release it. So this game is available for free. It's on Steam. I will drop the link in here. I will say that it has, not that you would expect it from a free game, but it doesn't have like a matchmaking lobby system, so you have to do like what we did is if you've played Among Us or things like that, or I think it's just like a lobby or like an invite code or something like that in order to try it. But it goes up to 6 players. Xavier, how did you think 3 players worked with Tony and I? Like, would you recommend 3 more? What are your thoughts?
I think it's a lot more fun with more players. With 3, it was fun. Since I wasn't able to talk, I guess things weren't balanced very well. So a lot of times when Tony was talking, he wasn't really doing much. And I know you're paying attention and everyone's bored. Dude. So I was at some point, I was just waiting on Tony to make a move because I couldn't make a move because you would make a move.
So I made this joke. I was like, "Yo, Mike is over there snorting Ritalin because like, he's the kind of person who can like sit there. Like in this game in general, there is like several moving parts. You gotta fucking pay attention. And so this guy's like sitting there having like in-depth conversation about like the world and the gaming industry, and he's sitting there like piecing all this shit together. Like I'm like. And me, I every time I talk, I just stop doing things. I
in
mean,
fairness
you see that,
to Tony, he was
I'm
also talking
right
to
now.
his wife and like ordering food
yeah.
and doing a lot of other things. So Tony needs to give himself a bit more credit.
Have you ever noticed when I type in the chat, I'm usually quiet? No, that's pretty much everyone, right? That's pretty much everyone.
We had a great time with it, though. Like, honestly, the more we played this, I will say if you go in the top right corner of the screen, when you start the game, there's a question mark box that gives you the basic rules of the game. I highly recommend everybody check that out. It has one really cool element to it that I liked is that you have like, so if you're all played solitaire, if you haven't played solitaire, you got to play it at some point. I feel like that's like almost like a requirement of growing up.
If you use a Windows computer, like
yes,
like 95 and up, then you probably played solitaire.
Yeah, that's
or the paintball.
Yeah.
No, what is it? It's Minesweeper, Solitaire,
and like that 3D space
Oregon
pinball.
Trail.
Yeah.
And Oregon Trail. That's like the only games that we played when we were younger.
The 3D space pinball, dude. I could hear those sound effects, and I would freeze. Just like that remind me of when I was 6.
Yeah.
That's like 2000s. That's like 2000.
I think that was like 98. I think that might have been 98 or XP. I want to say 98.
XP. Definitely an XP.
No, it was before XP for sure.
I think
98 or Millennium Edition, but it was before XP.
Oh, bringing out that Millennium Edition.
Oh, yeah.
That's a deep cut right there. I love that. I love that. Well, so Jordan and Legend, I know you guys weren't able to join us. Hopefully we can all play this online together soon. What are your thoughts just listening to what we said and watching this video? Is this something you would be down to try? Is this your new COVID addiction? How are you feeling about this?
I would try it.
Yeah, looks fun.
Yeah, it does actually looks fun. Like, it doesn't look like it's like basic solitaire where it takes like, depending on, because, solitaire is super easy to cheat. But like, it just seems like, it would be super fun to play with people. Yeah.
Wait, there's a way to cheat at solitaire?
I don't think I know.
With real cards, maybe.
Next thing you're going to tell me is that there was actual rules to Minesweeper. Like there's a how to play that game.
There is rules.
I forgot Minesweeper. Like I tried to play it, but I just couldn't get I just click stuff, things would explode. Like that's how
No, there's actual rules. Each one of those numbers tells you how many bombs are surrounding it.
Yeah, the numbers. I mean,
really?
don't get me wrong. I mean, I didn't know that till I was like 18 or something. So I'm with you, but I know that now.
Oh man, guys, I should have had this as part of today's show. Like, talk about this mashup. I played this like a couple months back. It's a mashup between a bullet hell and Minesweeper. So you're solving Minesweeper with your mouse, your mouse pointer. At the same time, a boss is shooting bullets at you. So you have to move your mouse away to not get shot while you're solving a Minesweeper puzzle.
Oh, I would not play that game.
Yeah.
I don't like bullet hells, but that sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's
It's
pretty
pretty
cool. I
cool.
mean, you want to play it for like 10 minutes or whatever, but
Sure. I have a question. I don't know if this is a dumb question or I don't know.
Yeah.
Why is it called NERTS?
You know what? I don't know. That was it. Hey, Mike, read us the description. Is there a reason why it's called NERTS?
yeah, I can read. So the NERTS name is actually not made by these devs. So it's called NERTS in the US. It's called Pounce. Like this actual game.
Oh.
Like this is based on a real game that people would play. So
Seriously, it's
Oh.
a localization thing?
well,
really?
I think this game right here that we're talking about is just like
Yeah.
an online adaptation of a game that I think these
Of a
developers
physical game.
a physical
So NERTS
game.
exists. The multiplayer solitaire already existed in real life with real card decks
Exactly.
called NERTS. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Card game expert David Parlett says the game, originally called Racing Demon, was created in the 1890s, but is now known as Pounce internationally and NERTS in the U.S. Whoa, the National NERTS Association U.S. blog says it is unaware of any known inventor or specific date of the. So there's a NERTS like society.
So there's like a group of people that this is their life.
Yeah.
I swear, somebody watching this show right now is like, NERTS? I can play it online.
Did bingo night let out early?
Y'all were hyped, the Queen's Gambit took everyone by storm. But this next show.
NERTS.
Yeah.
Exactly. NERTS is where it's at. So the thing I really loved that I really enjoyed while we were playing NERTS. So just to add a couple more like things here for like the point system. Every single card that you add to that middle row gives you 1 point. And then at the end of a round, every card you have in your NERTS pile above your deck, you lose 2 points for. But if you get rid of your entire NERTS pile, you can actually immediately end the round. Or you have like control. You press this button and you can end the round, which I thought was super cool because I would try to use that to my advantage when I was watching Tony and Xavier, because I could see that they were about to do like a massive play and they were going to drop a ton of cards, and I would just like end the game there before they could do it.
Oh, the game master had you guys all
I had
tripping
to-
and shit.
They were about to have me, like, so I had to do evasive maneuvers here.
Oh yeah. I tell you, like, he snorts Ritalin or something. Like, I'm not sure. We were having really good, in-depth conversation, and this guy was just beasting on everyone. Even Xavier wasn't even talking. He wasn't even engaged in the conversation.
It was closer
It was
game.
so-
I appreciate the compliments, guys. Thank you, but it was we had a lot of fun with it. I definitely would love to play it again for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a very it's a game that can be very competitive, but like we played it very casually too. So
Yeah.
that can
Dude,
be,
if there's a NERTS association, they go hard. Like
They
you don't get
definitely
called an association if you
Yeah.
don't go hard.
Yeah, but that's the
Like,
cool thing. Like,
NERTS,
like
yo.
you can like play it. Like we were having a great time just talking and just. It's a game that you can just play like casually with like family or friends and like be competitive, but like you can, like, to Tony's point and Xavier's, like, you can still have fun and carry a conversation while trying to, wreck each other.
You can still have fun and carry a conversation.
I mean, maybe Mike.
Is that like a parent thing? Because
It might be.
Because I can do that. Like I'm in the knee deep in like something, and I've got teenager and 9-year-old coming, and they mom this, mom
I'm
that.
still trying to figure this shit out. Like,
Maybe it's like a muscle memory or something. Maybe Mike's just like mega good at solitaire and we didn't know. So he's just like, he could be blindfolded and beat you guys, but
constantly
because he's so good at it.
so he has all his gaming muscles like amped up on
all the time.
Yeah, G fuel. He snorts G fuel before every round of solitaire.
You guys now know my secret, the secret sponsorship. Empowering Potions and
Mike's gonna come back with G Fuel in his name on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. It's just gonna pop up. Doritos and Jeff Keighley Doritos and Mountain Dew and G Fuel for
You
sure.
have one of those mini fridge with like the clear door that has like nothing but like different types of G Fuel in it,
I actually
which is funny.
we have
that
one of
you
those
know
for
that
Red
I
Bull.
know that has that.
Red Bull like sponsored a lot of stuff for Potions and Pixels, and they gave us some of those fridges. So we actually.
That's awesome.
Did you-
Sick,
That's so
actually.
cool. We did an event with
Yeah.
Charlotte Phoenix, King of the Nerds, and I helping with. It was like right before shutdown happened. It was like
Yeah.
the first and last event that I ever did. And I was working the front, and yeah, Red Bull sponsored it. So like, King came home with like he went to his house with like cases.
Yeah, Red Bull goes hard.
Yo,
They're-
it's sad because now like I'm actually like researching G Fuel and I might actually try some of this shit. So like I mean it won't have me like sweating underneath my arms for no reason or something. Well,
No, well, there's a bunch of so let me tell you this, Kay, coming from me, the gamer and all, but like
yeah.
so there's a bunch of different energy drinks that are supposed to like, give you the energy that you need without like the shakies, right? So G Fuel is one of them. There's like this one called Glitch that just came out. There's this sneaky one, whatever. But G Fuel is kind of like the starter of all of this, and then they just kind of like expanded. So now there's all these other different type of labels. So some people will tell you that G Fuel is good. It like I've had it when you go to TwitchCon. That's all they do. They just have like G Fuel. They give you like this.
Will it help me at work?
Like refill it and stuff.
Would you advise me like would it help me at work? Like would like make me like really
Let me just say, Potions and Pixels nonprofit is not legally responsible for anything to what we're discussing right now.
Have to talk after. But no, a lot of those companies in general, like even Red Bull, like I like Red Bull I like Red Bull personally, for me personally. But
like I'm on the website, you can make your own
give you, it's supposed to just give you the energy and like the mental focus without like the jitteries or the it'll give you the energy, but you don't like crash from it. Like a lot of times, when you have sugary drinks, you just like your body just like after it runs out. But
Jordan, when you're doing your late night StarCraft sessions or beasting people in MagFest tournaments in StarCraft, are you using G Fuel or Red Bull or
no? So a lot of
what?
the arcade people I know use G Fuel, and it's kind of a meme to them. It's kind of a joke. No, this is a very specific community. I just mean like friends and acquaintances I've made. Not like all arcade players or even fighting game
You're
players.
not speaking on behalf of the NERTS Arcade Association?
I'm speaking on behalf of Killer Queen players, not on behalf of all arcade players. Anyway, no, they use it like the powder form, and they mix it in with stuff, and they use it kind of like almost like pre-workout, but for gaming. And I don't know, it seems okay.
Shit.
For me personally, I don't really... I mostly stopped with all that kind of stuff, except what Mike said. Like if I'm at MagFest, which is like gaming, drinking, and fun, and there's tournaments too, I'll have Red Bull. If I'm doing a late night stream or something at home, I'll have Red Bull. I'll just grab like a sugar-free Red Bull or something and
this
go
sounds
hard.
like it would help me with work at the bank, but I don't know.
I don't know, man. I'm a little worried about that.
Give it a go. Just invest in life insurance and give it a go.
I lost a good friend to.
And you drink it, you don't snort it, right?
That was a joke. Snorting was a joke. Do not snort.
Why do you guys think Derivative friend of the show? I don't know if he's watching right now, but he's in G Fuel rehab right now. You don't want to go down that path, Tony. I've seen many a gamer.
I'll try it, I'll dabble in it. I'll try it out.
Dabble in a little G Fuel.
More protein based stuff because I stream really late at night, and I don't really like to do caffeine too much because it's weird. Like I don't get like weirded out by it, but I've been trying to lean more towards like more natural substances. Like there's like Runa, which is more of a like natural herbs or whatever to get your stuff going instead of like having to use anything that has extra additives in it. I just think it's better for your body, especially if it's like late at night or even during the day at work. You don't want to have any of that extra like like stuff. Like if I can't read the ingredient, I don't want it in my body.
Instead of coffee in the morning, I'm gonna try some G Fuel and see what that happens.
They have like sample packs. You could do that.
Yeah.
I was waiting for
We're not
Legend to
sponsored by
say.
GFO. We're not sponsored by GFO.
I was waiting for Legend to be like, I don't use, coffee at all, but I just do like one line of Coke right before I go on stream, and I highly recommend it.
One line of GFO.
real quick before I go live, and then that's how it works every time. That's why I'm up
So
till like 5
when
in
all
the
of
morning.
these four try that, I will be the new host of Indie Game Night. Welcome.
You guys will see me like really coked out. Just be like, all right, guys, let's talk indie games.
Oh God.
All right, and that's why
We
Indie
all
Game
been-
Club.
I'll have like you'll see like
You like powder.
little like purple powder, purple thing.
We need to make a advertisement for them.
Yeah, this is why I intentionally, just so everybody knows, Indie Game Club will remain sponsorship free, so that we can talk any way we want without.
Say whatever the hell we want.
All the other projects Potions and Pixels does will be
Yeah.
sponsored, but not this one. We're gonna keep it
That's right. Though we could.
unadulterated.
Cool.
Legend, why is your nose blue? I will talk about it.
Yeah.
Why-
What are you snorting this week? All right, we got one last game to cover.
Last one.
Before we call it a night here. Any last words on NERTS? I see
No.
Executioner is saying, I'm going to learn this game, but not join the community, bro. Yeah, you don't have to join the community.
You have to be careful about that. Never say never, because sometimes the community, they just find you.
Yeah.
They just find you. Like, there's some games that, like, I'll play, like, some random, like, anime-ish game, too, especially. Like, those people will hunt. They will find, like, Shadowverse or, like closers. Like, next thing I know, I have nothing but, like, closer people, like, coming at me.
coming in.
Like,
Hey, you guys want to play some NERTS?
Yeah.
Just go. You guys want to snort some G Fuel and play some NERTS?
I got raspberry punch. It's the
I love it.
flavor.
Yo, big shout out to Executioner who just subscribed. Thank you, man. Love you, dude. Appreciate you so much, for sure. Appreciate the support for the stream. Showing the love right there. All right, before we continue down, or to prevent us from going down the NERTS lifestyle, let's switch over to our final game of the night here, which is A Change of Pace. This is a visual novel, and I know Jordan's been excited to talk about this one, so I can't wait. Not because of the title. Yeah, let me change that before I'm not trying to embarrass my man here. Jordan's been excited to talk about one night stands. Yes.
Oh God! Oh golly!
No. I know you're a fan of visual novels as well, and had a lot to say about this game. So right here, let's transition over to One Night Stand. Let me do a quick read of the description before we turn it over. So One Night Stand here's the description. After a night of fun, passion, and one too many drinks, you wake up the next morning to find a complete stranger lying naked beside you in a bed. What do you do? In One Night Stand, explore the unknown bedroom and seek out clues to identify who the stranger is and what happened to bring you both together. You may resort to some unusual methods to find the answers you're looking for, but take care not to prod and pry too much. A nosy guest quickly becomes an unwanted one. Will you stay and explore your relationship with this stranger, or will you escape when the opportunity presents itself? With 12 unique endings to discover, can you keep up the act long enough to find out what really happened? It also features hand-drawn artwork, lifelike rotoscope animation, which I always give a shout out. I'm a big fan of rotoscope. Rotoscope nerd over here, and an interactive story where choice matters. And again, 12 different endings there, so we can go into that. I will drop the link right here in the Twitch chat for those who want to try it. This game is $2.99, but if you did get the racial justice bundle that came out last year from Itch, then you already have it, so you should check it out. All right, Jordan.
I just donated $3 like.
Nice.
Tony, you got the game already.
Yeah, I know.
All right, we'll talk about that afterward.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the developer appreciates that.
Yeah.
Jordan, so what are your thoughts about this one?
Okay, so I like how you throw it right to me. Thank you.
Jordan, what
so-
are your thoughts on One Night Stands first, and then what are your thoughts about the game?
my thoughts on one night stands
I'm
first.
kidding.
Okay.
No. Just...
No. I like it, but I take these questions seriously.
Shit.
I have no joke response. I only have serious response. I think as long as it's two consenting adults, it's all good. As long as the communication is there, it's not like misleading the other party or what have you.
Yeah. Is it
Yeah,
misleading to like to say like you want to nerds and chill and then it leads to something else?
It was for like 1 to 8 months when NERTS became popular and everyone at home had NERTS on their computer or whatever. Yeah. But nowadays, nerds and chill is already like such a common phrase. We all know what it means, you know? Only like the 60-year-olds don't know what it means.
Exactly.
Like, even 50-year-olds know what it means. Like, come on.
Oh, I know what we're going to do. We're going to end up snorting G Fuel off each other's bodies.
Oh, my God. G Fuel off the belly button and chill. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. All right. With all seriousness here, how did you feel about the actual game?
I like the premise.
Yeah.
I didn't read the full description. I just glanced at it, and I didn't watch the trailer, thankfully. And already jumping in, I like the art style, and they set the scene very well. Like, it was very immersive for just like a text-based game. It has more flair to it than just a text-based game. And I just got sucked in. Like, it was so immersive. I was just like, this is so interesting. Like, I immediately was like, I'm going to be nice, good boy, like I would be here. But at the same time, it's like, God, have I ever not known someone's name like in a situation? Like, oh my God, no. Like, I'm too much of a nice boy that this has never even happened to me. Yeah. So
he was roofie. He was roofie. I have a suspicion when we get into that. I think he was roofie.
There's an ending that doesn't confirm that, but there's an ending that kind of maybe has something like that.
And we can get into that because we will say, as we always do, we're spoiler heavy on Indie Game Club. Yeah. It's like a book club, so we do want to go into that. Still, even if you hear all these endings and whatnot, we encourage you to play these games.
It's worth it. It's worth it. Yeah, it was just very interesting. I just felt like it was just easy for me to get into the situation and get my mind and emotions in the situation. So I was like, man, I don't remember this woman's name, but it's a dick move to pull out her wallet, you know? Like, but like it's just like moral choices after another, or you just chill and try to diffuse it when she asks questions, give the most neutral answer possible. Like, you can really handle this in a really human way, and I really appreciated that about the game.
That's a good point. And before we continue, big shout out to Devin Patel for liking the stream. Thank you so much, my friend. Really appreciate that. Definitely join us in the conversation here on the chat. We're on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, streaming live, all at 3 locations. So that's interesting. So yeah, I guess before we start talking about these choices, immediately when I started playing this game, I turned to my wife and I was like, yeah, Jordan, your reaction, I was kind of blown away by that whole idea of like being that wasted to not remembering anything. And I personally have not experienced that. I mean, I've had some MagFest, Xavier, Jordan. We've all had some fun times, or you might not remember everything, but I definitely haven't found myself fully in a situation like this. And yeah, I guess we could dig into that a little deeper. But that to me is a pretty wide. It feels a little different than just a traditional one night stand, like kind of like experience. It's like you're like straight up deja vu detective over here. Where you know what I mean?
No, I think we're probably getting down to like the moral aspect of it, but like the whole one night stand thing. The scenery is very odd. Because first of all, she keeps leaving the room. Like, she keeps leaving the room, and I'm thinking like maybe her herpes is like flaring up or something. I don't know. But she keeps leaving the room, and then she keeps asking you questions. Like, yo, I woke up in your bed. I need to know where I'm at. Not like you ask me questions and I like.
I need to know the Uber where I'm at.
I mean, but maybe that goes to show how I was like immersed in it, because I was like, oh, thank God she's leaving. Maybe I can find my underwear. Maybe I can figure something out. Like I was like actually feeling the way the person felt. The
awkwardness.
And her asking me questions, as long as they were benign, like not going to reveal that I didn't know her name, I was good with it.
Well, I guess, you probably been to different endings because I'm telling you right now, like, so for me, I had the walk of shame. I ended up getting kicked out. I did the walk of shame. Is there an ending where it elaborates a little bit more about her because it's really confusing?
There are 12 different endings, we should say, to this
It's
game.
12 endings.
And so, yeah, you can experience. I got through half of them. So
Shit.
I imagine.
Game Master.
No, I would like to go through some more. I'd imagine, and we should say for games like this where like it's based on repeating an experience, you can fast forward. Executioner is saying, "Is there a README for all 12?" I don't know if that's a joke about the READMEs earlier in the conversation.
Oh, snap.
There's a whole bunch of
awesome.
lore, Executioner. There's a whole bunch of lore.
Did I tip Executioner? That was
He
awesome.
came back with the heat.
But that's actually what had me playing. I mean, to Executioner's kind of point, like I wanted to see the endings. I'm sure like you guys felt the same way, where it's just like. So I know we talked about this before we went live, and I know Jordan might have a little bit of some information for us here. But I was curious. I never got an ending where we were like the one I'd say like had an actual future. Like I either got the endings where it was just like abruptly cut off. You couldn't show that you remembered her name and that was the end of it, or I got the ones where like, hey, let's hug, let's be friends, maybe let's hang out sometime. But I never got anything that allowed the relationship to get deeper than that. Not that I would have necessarily advocated for that, but you're trying to get to one of those endings. Did you guys experience that or find any endings that were like that veered the story off in different directions?
I got like 4 different endings, and they were pretty much the same. Like my first first run through was like we became friends kind of thing.
Yeah.
That she texted back or whatever, and then the next one it was more of like a neutral rejection. Like she was like, "I don't feel well. You should leave," kind of thing. And then the other one was I snapped a picture. I indulged my friend.
Oh, yeah, I did too.
That was my last playthrough.
No.
I did it too.
I did that too.
Oh, I shouldn't have done that because I was like thinking about it, and when I was playing it, I was like,
Oh, fuck that.
maybe she's the girl that he like stood up to begin with. Like Gary was stood up his
I
date.
think it might be.
You're right. Oh my God.
I think it might be.
alone, because you mentioned the name Gary and she's like upset and then she's like, never mind.
And then, then
You're
it shows
right.
up on the feed. She talks about like if you actually snap the photo, then yeah, she talks about like how now her family all sees it. It's like on Facebook or whatever. I think you're right, Xavier. That's interesting you mentioned that. And just let be clear here, like when we're talking about all the choices we're making, I feel like this group right here, we probably all made like all the nice sweet boy and sweet girl choices first, and then the game actually has you kind of do this. So all this creepy stuff we're saying, like, yes, you have an opportunity to look through her phone or look through her stuff.
I did what I would normally. I did what I would have done, and I did it.
Tony stole her money, went out the window, and never saw her again.
You wake up.
Check the pantry for G Fuel.
Nerds!
You know.
Like you wake up in her room, right? You wake up in her room, and for some reason, she keeps leaving the room with no pants. So she keeps like answering the door and shit like that with no pants on, and she keeps leaving the room. And then she asks you all these questions, like you're supposed to know these answers. Hell yeah, you're snooping through her stuff to see.
But how far are you going to do it? And Tony, is there not like is there not something where still like it's on a bit of the onus on the male still? I know we're obviously kind of moving forward.
No. It is definitely onus on him,
Yeah.
But in his position, he's in a foreign environment and he needs to secure his safety and get the fuck out of there.
there's a way to do that. There's an ending for that sort of too. You get your clothes, and that's another thing. I talk about being immersed, but as I tried it more times, and Mike was right. I tried nice boy, good boy stuff first. Then my second round, I'm like, I'm gonna be a total dick. Let's take a picture of her.
Dirty dog comes
fucking
out.
do her shit. Actually, I got a funny ending on my second freaking playthrough, but I'll get to that. But no, they have an ending where once you learn the gimmicks of the game or like how it works, I guess you can just get your clothes right away and get out of there as fast as possible. Like, that's an ending too.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm curious. Legend, I want to bring you in here too because I notice all the men have been dominating this conversation. I'm curious here. I have a question because, like, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I assumed I was a woman when I was playing this game.
I assumed I was a woman too because there's a woman on the game page. On the game page, there's a woman. So I thought it was a lesbian couple.
I thought it was a lesbian thing too.
But then hopefully this is not bad. But then they said there's a condom on the floor, and I'm like, I'm not sure if that works out. But you know what I mean?
That's valid. That's valid. That's a valid question.
Yeah,
there are condoms that women can't use with other
I was
women.
thinking,
You know what I
like,
mean?
you know, it wouldn't be a condom. It would have been like a dental dam or some shit. You know, like
Yeah, I don't.
I don't know.
Yeah, I might not have a good transition for that.
Also, let's just go ahead and say this. Let's say, well, you can look in the mirror and it confirms that it's a guy. But
Yeah.
let's say you couldn't. I feel like I was taught this in college or something, like a little late. But a lot of the times you can take a condom, just a normal ass condom, like cut it. Or like not completely in half, but that's so it spreads out, and then it's basically like a barrier, like a type of dental dam.
Shit.
So that's a way that people use it too.
True.
Oh, okay. Hey, everyone on the chat, that's something I didn't know that.
Balloon animals.
Yeah, it depends
all
on what.
sorts of-
Obviously, you don't want to do like the lubricant ones unless they're flavored because it's gross. But
Yeah.
Unless you love lubricant.
Oh my god! Wait, no, it sounded so bad. But
All right,
yes,
Legend, come in
I've
here.
admitted
Tell
that.
us what were all the bad decisions we made, and what?
Oh well, I see your guys' point. Like in the video of it, you do think that you're a woman, so it was confusing for me at first because I'm just like, well, but then you do realize that. So I thought that was kind of odd. Like I don't know if maybe that was sort of like the premise of the game itself. Like maybe you are given sort of this perspective of how the game is supposed to play out, but then once you do play it, it turns out to be something different, and then you've got like this, like, you know, and you're just sort of like experiencing that. But I have to be honest with you guys, I was a bit of a dick in the first playthrough.
Ooh.
Like I was a bit of a meanie. Like I took the photo, I was like, whatever, you know, I didn't really pay her no mind, and I went through all of her shit. Like,
Can I ask why?
Same
I
here.
went through all of it. Well, in Tony's point, like you do want to have an idea of where you are and where you are, and I can't
She
think
knows
of ever
where she's
done it.
at. You don't know where you're at. She knows.
Yeah,
where she's
right.
at.
She knows where she is. Like, you don't know where. Like you're completely lost. And I guess like to Tony's point, like for safety purposes, you would want to know like for like woman with if it was a dude, like I first like if I wake up and not saying that this has ever happened to me, may or may not, but like when you do wake up and you realize oh shit, like because it is sort of like a deja vu sense. You're just like, well, like I kind of remember you, but I didn't realize it went to like this point, so it's sort of like a bit of a shocking. Because like I said, at first I thought that I was the woman. So I was like going through everything. Sure. I was kind of doing it in a woman's perspective because for safety purposes, you do want to know where you are because like, God forbid, like something were to happen. You know what I mean? You
excellent point.
Would need something to like tell to your position, your, where your location is and any identifiable like information that you could possibly do.
That is an excellent point. Like, not only that, I could see with that mindset, like checking her wallet and finding her name and texting your friend her name just to be like, if I die, this is the last name, like this person is where I was. So, yeah.
So it was a fake ID in her wallet, and she had a real student ID. What was up with that? She had two different IDs with two different names.
The fake one was older. So maybe, and I think she was 22. Okay. So she hasn't been 21 for long. So she probably had a fake from before she was 21.
Okay,
yeah, that was my assumption, that it was just a fake idea that maybe she went to bars.
That part bothered me though, guys. Can I ask you, is there any way to actually get her real name without snooping either in her wallet or her computer? Is there like an actual way to like
does she volunteer it?
Or like you find anything on your own items or property that
you have to like go through the stuff to be able to find that information out, which is a little sneaky.
It is a little sneaky. I wasn't a fan of that.
And like I wasn't a fan of having to take the photo. Like I did it because I was just being a dick. But like because I just wanted, because usually in games, like like you said, normally you play like the good person, like the good guy, like, oh, let me just like tread water real quick and see how the game plays out, and then I'll be the bad dude. But I was like, let's just jump out the gate, because I just wanted to see what type of perspective it would take, because it says that there are multiple endings, so I was like, well, shit, let's go hard, let's go hit it,
Yeah.
But I like the picture was really. I think there was a few things in this game that was a little bit of a slippery slope, like having to go through the wallet, like having to go through the computer. Like I don't think I would ever go that hard, like in real life. You know what I mean? And we've all been young, we've all done stupid shit. You know what I mean? I can't like I'm not gonna say that I've never had an experience like this before because I have. I'm very open about my life, but I just think like it was just weird and like no Bixby, stop it. Go away. Sorry, my Google Assistant, she's just all up in my business. But I like taking the photo is a little bit invasive because then like you're sending this like this personal photo of someone to someone else who like now that Xavier brought it up, like it clicks that it could have been Gary, like maybe oops, like I did my homeboy a wrong, like my bad, because it's not. Aren't you breaking like some type of bro code?
Yeah,
exactly.
It implies that you could be sleeping with his date. I think.
Yeah, that's like breaking code. But to take a photo of her like that and then to send it, like that was I thought made me a little uncomfortable with the game itself. Like I get where the developer was going with that, but I just didn't. It didn't seem like it was necessary for the gameplay. So I think that was I went a little too far with that one because
I want to hop in real quick about that because I totally feel you. Like there was a lot of stuff. Like again, I was like looking at my wife and I was like creeped out by certain things, stuff like this, and I was just like talking to her as I was playing. But in defense of the developer, real quick, I feel like some of those scenarios were there in order to almost like teach a lesson on maybe what not.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I was gonna ask that.
Yeah. Because like you're doing all these things, and it's just like I felt like really uncomfortable taking the photo. I felt really uncomfortable like looking through her belongings. But like part of the game is like, as the game side, you're motivated to find the 12 endings, and so you might engage in some creepy ass behavior, or like at some point I was just like not even talking to her. I was choosing the 3 dots and just like being a dick. Like
so
that.
I do have a question. Like most games, most of these novels. They have a point to it, or they have like a moral or like a story. I only got one ending. I got to walk of shame. But was this really just a simulator? Was it a simulating, like, what would you do if you were in that situation, or was there really like a profound like social ending? Whoever got all the endings.
So I'll say this. I mean, I don't think the way you're describing it, you might not be pleased because the 12 endings are, a bunch of them are kind of similar. Like you're just kind of awkwardly friends or not friends.
Was there a message?
To Mike and I'll kind of get into that. To Mike and Legend's point about what they said earlier, I'll say this. At the end of each round, it lists off like your ending notes, but a lot of it was like how you feel, and a lot of it was like, oh, I'm guilty about this, or I feel bad about that, so I do think maybe it was trying to send the message of like, yeah, you're skeevy, dude. You were telling you you should feel guilty in this situation. Yes. And another thing I can say was, spoilers, whatever, I was very curious, is there a situation where you can end up like dating or some kind of promise of more than friend, right? Because there's sort of 2 situations where you could, you can say just friends and then, or you can say, I want to see you again, this was great. Or you can say just friends, and after saying just friends, you're like, could we be more? So there's 2 options. Come to find out, there's no way you leave that situation as being more than friends. That's none of the 12 endings. So I think that in itself was my favorite part about the game. And probably maybe getting towards a lot of your guys' points that like this isn't a typical narrative, but it is still sending you a message that like, yeah, these waters had to be tread carefully, or else like, I don't know, 60% of the time you're going to be skeevy and
you're either or in situations like this. Like I don't see any point in time this ever, like, because it's such especially when you're being skeevy, it's such an invasion of that person's privacy. And then it's like later on, like let's say you do end up in a relationship with this person, do you ever tell them like, yo, do you remember that one night? Well, I went through all your shit.
Yeah. No, seriously, I went through all your shit because I didn't know your name. Like that's so what a foundation for a relationship, that's
So well, yeah, sound really naive here, but is it actually like possible to get this? Like, I've never been. I'm kind of late to the game of like. I only started drinking when I turned like 30. I'm like, I'm late to all of this stuff.
You're 30? I thought you were like 23.
Oh no, I'm 34, but I didn't drink. I didn't do drugs or anything. Now it's all been downhill. Once I got on the NERTS train and G Fuel, I've been doing everything under the sun. But like, it's hard for me as somebody who like didn't do a lot drugs or alcohol really growing up because of like that feeling of like wanting to be
Have you ever gotten that
self-control.
blackout?
What's that? No, I've never been
gotten
close to that.
I've never gotten that blackout.
And I'm curious, as like, I know it's like out there, but I almost feel like it's almost kind of like I don't know how to say exaggerate. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to get here, but I just feel like it's people like sometimes talk about blackout.
It had to be a roofie because like if you, I've been blacked out drunk before, but I still remembered majority of what happened. It just seemed like it was a dream or a movie or whatever like that. But I've never been in an instance where you wake up and you like had no idea what the hell just happened or who you're laying next to.
Yeah, that's my point. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's just like it's gone to like it literally seems like this person is only like remembers like who they. It's like a deja vu, if you played the game. It was like a famous early NES game where you like didn't remember anything. I love that game, but it's like a situation where you almost like remember yourself but nothing else. And the gameplay itself. One issue I'll also connect to this is one of the issues I have with visual novels itself is like, you know, she asks you how you feel and you have options to say how you feel, but I'm speaking from this character's perspective, but I don't know how they feel. There's no like visual indicator. There's nothing. I can say I'm okay, I'm terrible, whatever it may be. And so it just seems like there's a little disconnect there. So it really does feel like you're supposed to be immersed in this experience, but it's also an out-of-body experience at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense or not. It's just kind of the raw feeling I had.
Novels are a little are crazy like that because you're supposed to be put in the perspective of the person that you're playing, so you're supposed to feel these emotions. If there's no premise to the emotion, if there isn't like a lead into why this person would feel this way, so that's how you would give this type of response.
Yes, that's exactly it.
A little bit of a challenge. Yeah, so that's why visual novels are a little iffy for me. I think Layla would have loved this game, honestly. I'm looking forward to see what she thinks about this, but because you know she probably snooped. I'm telling you right now.
Hold your thought, Tony, real quick. My only thing to that, Legend, is I don't see this often in visual novels. A lot of times they don't tell you much about your feelings at all. But there were moments in between the conversation of like your character thinking out loud, like not out loud, but thinking to you, to the player, like,
that's a good
oh
point.
God, like how am I feeling? How am I even supposed to, you know? And then it went to the actual conversation. Like that was almost thought bubbles. So I appreciated that to make it a little bit more easier to get in the dude's shoes.
Oh man, I don't really. All right, so Tiffany, I had a question, and I'll refrain from personal stories. But so real talk, the medicine that was next to her bed, do you find out if it was for like AIDS, herpes, or any of that shit?
It does kind of, didn't there was like, it showed like memory loss as like one of the side effects of the medication? I was a little
That's
curious
all
about
that you saw was memory loss, or sorry, side effects, and it was like dizziness, something or other. I'm not sure.
Like a roofie that she might have gave you? I don't know.
I mean, I assumed it was birth control or something.
I
but...
assumed it was birth control.
It was birth control.
And the type of ending is you ask for pills or you ask for like headache medicine or whatever, I forget, painkillers, I think. And you look at her medication and then you bring it up to her and then you kind of imply that like, could you have, you know, did this thing happen? And she's just super upset. Like, did you just spent the night with me and you're accusing me of drugging you? What the hell? Get out.
Oh, really?
Which
that was an opportunity.
Could be suspect in itself. I'll just say that.
That's true.
Could be,
That's
but
true.
I didn't look at it that way. I look at it as she was relatively, I think the narrative explains that she was relatively innocent. I think that's how I interpreted it.
It does feel like this is out of character for her. I know she says it at the end that this is like she doesn't normally have like one night stands. It feels that way based on her reaction. Did any of you guys like kind of get a sense of like coldness from her? I mean, maybe justifiably based on her experience. You know, she's waking up the next day and she kind of implies that she kind of got what she kind of needed out of the experience, so to speak, and kind of wants to move on.
Yeah, I can see that, especially if she's been stood up. I mean, that's like, you know, women can be just as I don't want to say cold-hearted, can be just like in a man's brain, you know, because this is typically like a dude thing. You know, usually it's the guy who, you know, wakes up probably and is like, whoa, like, what did I do? You know what I mean? Because they just, you know, get their fix and they move on. But women that can have that same experience where they can just, you know, She got stood up. Gary, Gary pissed her off. She got stood up. She meets you unknowingly. You're Gary's buddy. Like, let's assuming that's the storyline. And, she gets what she needs out of you. Maybe she knows it. But here's the thing, though. Maybe she knows you're Gary's friend the whole time. And that's why she hooks you up, because she wants to piss Gary off because you're Gary's buddy.
I never thought about that. You think
since we're hyper analyzing deep, you can there's lots of different ways to find out before she tells you places you went to in the night. There's a crumpled piece of paper in your pants, there's like a stub ticket in her wallet, there's something on the ground, there's stuff like that. If you answer one of her questions of like, where were you with your friends, as one of the places you met her, you do get responses. Now, I didn't analyze it too hard. I think one of them was like, wait, the place you met me, you were with friends there? So like, did you meet me and your friends? I don't remember that. So she's kind of like, knows you're lying. And then the second one is like, wait a second. Or the second place you went with her, if you answer that as your opening friend place, bar, whatever, she's like, wait, so you left that bar, met me at another bar, and then circled back? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't...
Okay.
She could be good at lying. This would be a deep thing, but it doesn't seem like it.
If you look into the pants and the wallet, they have the coupons for the sandbar, where he had 5 and she had only like 3.
Oh, really?
And then she said that he was already drunk before. Well, he probably was already.
I like Xavier. Xavier is my man, dude.
You guys are deep.
You're a detective, man. I'm liking these details you've been noticing that I didn't even really put together. It could be, dude.
Yeah, but again, going back to the getting roofied part, is his friend did say that he only had 1 drink before he went missing.
Yeah.
Huh.
So he had more drinks after, but if he blacked out, okay, dude,
could Gary have been actually trying to roofie her and you drank it?
He doesn't remember separating from his friend.
Exactly. He doesn't remember very early in the night. This is a legit... I'm searching this. I need to contact the developers. It's an emergency, because this is a legit interpretation.
Is it possible, based on what you guys are saying, that like if there's a roofie scenario, like we don't know why it would be there necessarily, but is it possible that this Gary that we don't know much about was actually trying to roofie someone and you drank it or something like that? Is that what you guys are going for?
That could be.
He was trying to root for the girl, but you drunk it yourself.
And that's why
the girl he was supposed to meet up with.
That's why he
and maybe that's why he stood her up, because you took it and then he didn't know how to explain why you would be all messed up and blacked out. Because we all know sometimes before you got to the bar, you pregame, especially if you don't have a lot of money. If you're depending on coupons to get into bars, you gotta pregame a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting scenario. Like, what if he had the drink that was meant for her, and then Gary was like, "Oop, I done did it, oop," and that's why he stood her up. So then he ends up meeting with her, and then that's a rabbit hole. That's like, what do the youngins call it? Is that what's referred to as canon? Is that what canon means?
Canon?
Is that what canon? I don't know what canon means.
Yes, if the creator confirmed that was true, that would be canon to this game story.
Oh,
yes.
canon.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you meant. I thought that was like a sex term or something. Like, I was like,
Mike, bring the G Fuel to my place tonight for our after indie party. We're gonna canon.
I totally was like there. I was like, is that what?
Ready for the canon?
Yeah. It's like, y'all ready for this canon right here? NERTS, G Fuel, and canon. That's the plans for tonight.
If he's the one who's getting roofied, or even if she is the one who roofied him, that's a different turn of events, because usually, predominantly in stories that you find, it's usually the dude who always roofies the woman. It's usually, so that
I have trouble thinking she did it though, right? Like, I think Legend, are you saying that is a possibility or not? Because I don't think that. That's
Tony's interpretation of the events, that she roofied him, and that's why he can't remember. But
I have trouble believing she would do that based on her behavior. She is rather cold, nice. But I don't think that's the.
I think it was Gary. I'm going to go with the Gary.
If it happened at all,
he was like, "Yo."
Listen, man.
Yeah, I think it was Gary.
But I did not leave that game thinking he was actually drugged, even though I knew it was an ending that like it was acknowledged out loud between him and her. I did not think that, but if he doesn't remember after 1 drink,
he
didn't mention
his friend Gary wouldn't lie. Well, no, I guess if Gary was behind it, but I don't think there's evidence that Gary would necessarily lie
But it is
Well,
implied
no,
that
because if
Gary
you're
was with
roofing
that girl,
someone,
right?
unless your friend is in, like, unless you're like in on the roofing, I wouldn't want to tell him. I'll be like, oh, whoops, my bad. I was gonna roofie this girl and have my way with her and like assault her in her
Jesus.
apartment. She was roofied up. You accidentally got roofied, and she,
Guys,
had her way with
Legend,
her,
it clicked with me. I mean, the part about it though is if you do take that like picture of her and send it to Gary, we already discussed this. Gary is the one to do that and to send it out to folks. So Gary clearly is a guy who's vindictive. So he's already kind of in the
he sent it fast too.
like the revenge pornish.
I just said this is my friend, and he this is shitty no matter what. But like for him to just send it out immediately, it's like damn.
Gary clearly knows her. He knew what he was doing. So yeah, I mean, it's not too far-fetched at this point. At least, like, if you're a police officer, you're interviewing Gary, right? You're at the very least, you're like, if he's doing like revenge porn-esque behavior, whatever you want to call that.
Detective Xavier is all over Gary.
He's got like the light on him in the interrogation room. Yeah, I mean, I almost want to hit up the developer and ask. I thought
you need to tell them to watch this section.
Absolutely.
For like 2 point whatever to whatever, and tell us like what the whole thing is, and then we should come back to this with maybe the dev with us if they can, and have like a full on deep
invite me to that, Mike. Invite me to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
That's fascinating. I still feel like the core of the game is about how you react in the situation, your moral decisions, and that kind of stuff. But still, that is a fascinating extra few details that read a different part of the story.
Yeah, that's what I like about us as a whole. We're playing the same game, but the different type of perspectives that we each kind of bring into it, really. Because with Xavier, like, I wouldn't have even thought of any of that stuff if it wasn't for, hats off to you, my dude.
Yeah, for
and,
sure.
And then, like you guys were saying too in the beginning, like, if this was like, I was thinking this more of like I don't want to say like a woman's perspective, because like I said earlier, like, women can be just as like whatever, like, one night standy-ish as dudes. Like, it's such a sexist and honestly like misogynistic, idea to think that it's just men who do this. Like, women do this too, like, do it all the time, like when I was younger, like, not to like dive deep into like my background and my story, but it's like there was, it's like, if it's mutual, if it's cool, we hook up, we bounce, it's all right, like shit like that happens, it's cool as long as it's like there's some type of communication in place, then I think that, like, whatever.
But let me ask you about that, because I'm totally with you on that. But like, is some not liability? I don't know exactly what to call it, but like,
consensual.
Well, I guess I'm just wondering if she was if they were both in this consensual. It seems like it was consensual on both sides. But if she noticed that he did it, if either partner, whether male, female, or whatever, combinations, what have you, like, if somebody notices that another person is that impaired potentially, and she implies that, oh, I noticed how kind of impaired you were after all this stuff. She obviously is surprised that he doesn't know her name, but it seems like that's the point where we don't engage, because it is implied that they did have sex at the end of the day.
I did, that's definitely from what I learned at Feebless class. No, but seriously, like, definitely in college, like, I went to ECU straight up. Like, at the end of the day, like, if she looks a little impaired, then that's a no for you. Like, I don't care if she's like all over you. Like, you got to be very, I mean, and it sounds sort of bad or negative, but as a young male, like, you sort of got to be very careful about treading that line of like, hey, we're both drinking, but did she drink more than I did? I don't know. What I mean?
Yeah, that I think is a concept in today's age. Then yes, if she's had way too much, if she's obviously horrendously impaired to where, like, even the bartender's like taking her keys, you know what I mean? When it's that point to where this woman cannot, like, once you take, everyone knows once those heels come off in a public place, dude, she's out. Like, she's done. Like,
what about the male though? Like,
that's true. That's true.
But I think it goes the same way as a male. And just because the parts are working doesn't necessarily mean that if he's reached like it.
That's true.
She understands that. She understands that. Like, just because just because the parts are working, it's just a natural reaction.
It's a natural reaction.
It should be noted also that when she did, there's a line of dialogue that she says, when we first met, you didn't seem that drunk. So
Okay.
that could
I'm
lean
glad you
towards the
brought that up.
roofing as well. I mean, it's fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
is
glad you brought
fascinating.
that up. I'm not necessarily blaming her. I'm generally assuming the roofie thing isn't necessarily there. I think it may be, but I'd be curious. It's a possibility, and I'm generally assuming she wasn't like intentionally doing something negative. It sounded like she was going through something kind of. She implies that like she kind of needed that night, or you know, or not needed, but something
that-
along those
that-
lines.
Yeah, that's what I meant. She seemed innocent
Just
from
need
the
to- yeah,
narrative.
that's like, I mean, it's a healthy form. I think if it's consenting adults, it's a healthy way if you've got pent up emotions, because it is like it's an exhausting process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If done correctly. And and you know, it's sometimes it's just better. It's like cathartic. It's sort of like healing in a way. You know,
Yeah.
you just this it's out. You're done. You know, you're good. I'm good. It's cool. You know, maybe we're not cool. You know, but it happened, and
Yeah.
you know, but in that perspective, like you guys say, it doesn't get talked often enough. It's always such a one-sided conversation. Like if he too is too inebriated, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's consenting to the actions that are taking place, especially if you're waking up and you don't remember what's going on.
Hmm.
You know, that can
Yeah.
be a scary situation for anyone. So instead of maybe going through their things, you may want to like, you know, really kind of assess, because you don't know, you know, whether it's, you know, like I said, you know, male or female perspective,
That's what I
it
mean,
could be
Legend.
a
I'm glad you said
I
that,
mean-
because I think that's what I was saying earlier, and I couldn't articulate it properly. But if you wake up in a situation like this where you literally like cannot recall like the most basic elements, like the bar you were in, like what the person's name is that you had sex with, like if you have that trouble recalling it, then to me it's like a moment where you really need to reevaluate a lot of things about like what
Yeah.
happened and have some
Life.
deeper thoughts. Yeah, because like that's
reevaluate life.
yeah,
It is possible to black out that way just by drinking. I've definitely blacked out multiple times. It was really when I was in a really bad place a while ago, probably about 4 or 5 years ago. But a lot of it that happened was
Even worse.
Huh?
Even worse, I'm thinking about right now. Why would he black out like that? Because she's the person who got stood up. You know, shouldn't she be depressed drinking it underneath the weather?
Well, we
It
don't
was
know
him
his.
who blacked out.
Well, we don't know. I mean, he
we don't know
could
the
just been having a
context.
good time. You don't really know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just missing some context, because a lot of times where I've blacked out, it's because usually lack of sleep, wake up early for work, and then meeting up with friends afterwards, maybe not eating enough during that time period, and then just drinking constantly with friends. You don't really think about it, and blacking out just, especially when like, I didn't start blacking out when drinking until I was like 28, 29. Like it didn't really start really happening until I around that time. So after that point, I started taking it easy, because I felt like maybe it was like a physiological thing as well, as far as like aging. Like I wasn't able to like handle the alcohol as much. But it is like I've definitely woken up and been like, all right, what happened? Usually I look at my phone, it's usually dead, and then I charge it, and then it's like, let me call everyone that I think was there, or at least the people that I know that frequent the same places I do on a regular basis. I usually do that. But I usually wake up in a place that I'm familiar with. Not that I remember how I got there a lot of times, but it's usually a place that I'm familiar with.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Never in any kind of relationship form with female, never like sexual encounter like that. It's usually a lot less inebriated when that stuff is happening. I guess it's more because I'm just like paranoid and trying to just like, you know, be on point at that point.
Yeah, I'll hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
problem.
And yeah, and my experience is more like Mike's. Like but I'll say I do have friends and acquaintances that have had you know, alcohol dependencies at one point in their life or another, and they've told me just complete blackout, don't remember anything. Like it's never happened to me, only like maybe brownouts, like a couple of I remember like the main areas of the night, but a couple of the more finer details, like a conversation I had with someone, I'd be like, oh wow, I said that, you know, like that has happened a couple times, but But you know, it happens. It does happen from just alcohol.
Yeah. I guess in these cases, like, I don't know if like to say like a moral of the story sort of situation. I think in cases like this that involve such a sensitive human
Was there
topic of
supposed to be a
sex.
moral?
Well, I think no, I'm not saying.
No, I don't know.
I'm saying from my perspective, like it's like to me, like it's just like a kind of a reminder for the world of like you have to at least be. I mean, it's okay to have a good time for sure, like, but like at least to be in the condition to where you're even remembering like the consent, like the basic elements, and just from like a human level as well. It's like if you're gonna have a level of intimacy like that, it's okay if it's like transactional to an extent, but it's still another human being, I guess.
But
That's my moral of the story.
Question. Is this a life simulator, or was there really a message that was supposed to be portrayed by the developer?
What do you all think about that?
I mean, both. It can be both, right?
I feel like
I would agree.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how we're discussing it now. You know.
Yeah, it's pretty deep.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the context that was there maybe wasn't too clear. There's not enough context to really connect the dots. Because like another part was he was at some point concerned about her age. Because I looked at at one point I looked at the picture and she looked really young, but that was like right when she left the room at the first time. And then when you look in her wallet, she has 2 different IDs. And the license identification was at the end of his statement. He was like, "Well, I'm not sure if this is legit." And then he looked at the other one, which was, I guess, like a student ID, and it was a completely different name. And definitely, she went by Robin than Luis or Luisa. I can't.
Luis was the fake name. Is that the point? Like to Tony's point about this is like the idea that there's like little seeds of doubt sown into this game. Part of the idea of like, hey, we need to think deeper about these things, because like I think what we're hearing here is that there's a lot of potential ways things could have gone in the memory.
You're asking if it was intentional.
I think it might have been. You know, here I think this might be a good time to mention also, like it just came to the top of my head. My favorite show of 2020 was a show called I May Destroy You. I don't know if anybody's watched it. It's on HBO. Created by Michaela Cole. She did Chewing Gum. Best show of 2020.
Shit, 90 Days Fiance.
I highly recommend everybody check it out. Like the focus of the show is like exploring kind of the topic of rape among millennial age people, our age people, but like all the kind of gray, like the gray areas of like being raped by somebody while like you just had a consensual sexual encounter, or being in a situation, like all these areas of what is under the umbrella of rape. And it's like a mind-blowingly amazing show that I unequivocally recommend to everyone. Again, I May Destroy You. And I feel like if you're interested in like the conversation we're having, exploring all this stuff, check that out. I know it showed up on numerous best of the year lists that critics put together. But yeah, the seeds of doubt, is that potentially there to just have conversations like this where we're exploring and thinking about those elements a little further?
I don't know. I think you definitely need to get the developers so we can.
I know.
I think you need to hit up the developer. You need to call me. I'll clean up my beard. I'll wear a tie. We need to get like 13,000 viewers, and let's do it, dude.
I am totally down. It appears her name, I'm assuming this is female in Germany, Lucy Blundell, on Twitter, games by Kinmoko.
You know what we should do? We should play NERTS while discussing this game.
NERTS life. God. Last thing I'll say on this, and not to end it here because I still want to hear anything you guys have to say, but I know we're over time already, is as we've been talking, I've been looking on the side screen at the trailer as well, and I noticed there was quite a bit of things that I didn't experience in any of my playthroughs.
Yeah, same here.
Playing the guitar.
Throwing up. Did she throw up with you, Jordan?
Throwing up?
She didn't throw up with me.
Yeah.
I saw that. It's kind of funny because okay. So here's a funny one, but also kind of fucked up and weird. Like I laughed when I first saw it, but just thinking about it all day, I'm like, what a weirdo. My very second playthrough. So the game's pretty short. Game's like 7 minutes or something. So I finished the game one time. Let's do it again. Let's be a total dick, like I said. You see her underwear on the ground. I'm like, okay, let's click on it. Like maybe I can be a weirdo or something. You can put it on, and then she comes back in the room. Actually, you can put it on and then put your pants on, depending on the orders to things. So she won't know. That's weird and fucked up. But what I was getting at is you can put it on, then she comes back and sees you, and she's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And she makes you leave with the underwear on, like, and that's it. And he's like, "What about it?" She's like, "Keep it, get out," Yeah. And I think you can see the image. Everyone, look at the image. Look at the trailer closely. You can see the image, and it just shows. Oh. I don't know if you guys saw it.
In the mirror?
Yeah.
In the mirror, yep. But I thought that was funny, and like I did not expect that level of douchiness. But no, after that, out of all my playthroughs of me like, let's be nice boy again, but maybe let's toe the line, because I was even afraid to touch a guitar, because why would I touch someone's instrument? That shit can be expensive or like personal or nifty. Like why would you touch it and play it? Like that is baffling to me, but you can. Anyway, through all of that, I forgot that just trying to leave at the bottom of the screen was an option through like 90% of the game. So trying to leave and getting to the door and unlock it, that's when. If you leave at like the third or so time that she leaves the room, she leaves because she's throwing up. So when you leave and get to the front door, you see her in the bathroom when you walk by, you glance.
Interesting.
Yep. No, there's a lot of nuance to like, you can like think about it.
Yeah.
Well, why would
you can leave right away. You can get the heck out of there right away. You can leave while she's making you coffee or something. Like that's pretty douchey. Like you just asked her for coffee and then you can leave. You can leave while she's throwing up. Like there's a lot of nuance of like slightly worse for different reasons. I found this game very fascinating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder. You said that the developer is a woman.
It appears to be. Yeah, I think so.
I wonder if this was like maybe stories or maybe personal stuff, like especially like the underwear part. Like, where did she come up with that part? To include.
I don't have the balls to ask that question to her, Mike. You're gonna have to front that one.
I dropped the link in here, but I'll give another plug for I May Destroy You, because the creator of that show was a victim of sexual assault, and that inspired her to create the show. Like after she had created another show, in between both shows, she was victimized that way. So, it could be. It's a definitely sensitive kind of area to.
Why is he putting on her undies though?
Yeah, that's kind of like where I was like.
Like here's.
Oh yeah, I'm not defending this. I'm not like.
Undies, but when you just reball it, like I mean, you want to get out of there, you want to go. Like I would assume you would just be like, "Fuck this shit, whoop, let's bounce," Not.
Like, I remember
the naked ending.
Underwear, and it was same thing. Oh, that's her underwear. Yeah, that. So something like it was weird or something, or that wouldn't fit or something, and then I just kind of like went on. Like, what option before gave you the option?
So there's a pile of clothes on the. It's weird how I've been thinking about this game all day. And
dude,
like
you're deep. Did you watch like an 8-hour after your like 8-hour what is it, Morrowind thing?
Video?
you watched like an 8-hour.
No, it was a 30-minute video, and I skipped around because I just wanted to see the endings I couldn't see. But I played for over an hour and a half myself. It's just funny how much I have memorized. That's all I'm saying. There's a pile of clothes on the right side where your phone was, the pile of magazines, your pants, the condom. Do I need to go on? It's like imprinted in my brain. That pile of clothes gives you a message about like none of my clothes are here and this shit wouldn't fit anyway. But on the left side, near like the bottle of wine, is just panties. Like very clearly, you see like the flare or whatever it's called. And I think when you first click on it, it's like, oh, I shouldn't do anything to this. This is weird. And you can click like do it anyway, basically. Or maybe you had to do it late enough and I just got quote unquote lucky. Like, I don't know. But when I clicked on it, it was like, this is weird. Whatever. Don't do this or do. And then when you do, it's like, I'm going to put this on. And I think his thought bubble is like, this will be funny, or this is like a memento or something. It's weird. And then when she confronts you, you have a couple answers you can give. And I was so flabbergasted that the game even let me do that. I just clicked the ... I was like, I don't even want to. She's like, good, I don't want to hear your excuse anyway. I'm like, damn right, girl, because this is some
weird. That's different.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm trying to think what else. Oh yeah, the final ending in the video that I kept thinking was like, this is going to be the romantic ending, whatever, and I'm so glad it wasn't, was like the true friend ending. You just don't do anything skeevy. You're relatively honest, and you ask her about her shit, and like you don't touch her guitar, but you examine it and ask her about it. You examine her picture of her brother and ask her about it. Shit like that. And
I think that might have been the first ending I got. Like
Yeah.
it ends in a hug, and it's like
Yeah.
you walk leaving.
I think there's two you end in a hug, but
Okay.
one of them's like the true friend ending. One of them's like friend request ending, and one of them's like true friends or something.
Gotcha.
I got the friend request ending.
I got the friend request. I got the friend request twice actually. But
Okay,
that's
I'm
what
trying
I
to
was
remember
trying to do over and
exactly
over.
how that worked. It is interesting. Like, I wonder if I'm curious how much of the Robin, the person you had the encounter with, like her reaction to you is like based on the situation, because we're talking a lot about how weird it is to be in our situation, like, you know, to wake up next to her, but from her side, I wonder how much of her personality is like accurately reflected based on this, right? Like this snapshot into who she is, how much do we know this character versus if we saw her in regular life? Because if you encounter her in the game, she's like, anything you really ask her, like, do, like, she's kind of like, don't touch that, or like, don't touch the guitar, or like, you didn't touch my teddy bear, did you? Because it's got like a broken leg.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
like much like, oh, like, don't mess around with my stuff. And even her language is, it's like, these are my things, or like expectations about that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody was curious about like that aspect of it in terms of.
Well,
I have
the
thoughts.
bit that I got was that the whole textbooks, the English textbooks or whatever that she was doing in English, and then because of the book and the movie she had, I figured like maybe she's trying to like write something, or maybe this is kind of like maybe an experience that she wants to include in her book or whatever.
Oh, interesting.
Like Sex in the City type shit, right?
That is
Blogging about her
interesting.
real life.
Did
Yeah.
anyone notice? I did not see this until I watched the guide video or whatever video. Did anyone notice that the romance book? There's a book under it you can click on.
Yeah,
Oh no, I didn't.
I did.
I'm like, how did I? It looks like textbook. It looks like the side of the same book. How
I
did
clicked
not see
it,
that?
but I don't remember what happened. Can you remember? Oh, that was the book that you read, and that was her story.
I
she
think
was
it's something
writing.
she was writing.
Yeah,
so
that's the
he's
one that she
literally
wrote.
Detective Strikes Again. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, I
Xavier.
didn't-
literally onto something.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
thing, Xavier. To your point, yeah, Jordan's like amplifying that. Like she has like her stories that you can read, like that she's writing. So yeah, it could be part of that.
Yeah, it was a little cold, I suppose. I interpreted it more as like she was
Awkward.
very sentimental. In fact, I thought
Okay.
there was gonna be a twist, like her brother died or something. I thought it was she was very sentimental. Like, don't touch my teddy bear, don't touch my guitar. That's a gift. Like,
Got it.
so many things about her brother. And the main reason I think why I interpreted her as innocent is like she wasn't playing it cool at all. She was the opposite of playing it cool. She was like, yeah, she like rambled on about a long story. Not that that's a problem. I love that kind of stuff. You know, talking is nice.
Yeah.
But she just she explained in thorough details to this person she just had a one night stand with about how she was I almost said left at the altar. She was ditched at a date, and
Yeah.
you know, and how she felt and how she needed that. Like that seems very genuine to me. Once again, unless she's a super good liar, it just seems relatively innocent and genuine to me.
So Jordan, you ended up watching all 12 endings?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Or experienced them myself.
Well, yeah, no, I'm just really curious about this because, like, a lot of the stuff we've talked about today, and based on Inspector Xavier's in your interpretations here, I'm curious as far as, because it does seem like there are these strange connections with Gary. I almost do want to just message the developer. We might have to actually do that because, like,
I think we should. I think that these are valid. Like, have her watch the watch, and these are valid, like, instances, because I doubt anyone has gone as in depth as we have when it came to this game. And you have to understand too, like, I can understand her being cold because to her this is just a one night stand.
Yeah.
Like, you don't really need to
Sure.
get to know me. We don't really need to be friends. Just, you know, get my panties you put on and leave my house.
yeah.
Or will it be a sequel? You never know. Maybe
Sequel.
that's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
if they made another game, if she made another game that was the exact game but completely from the other girl's perspective.
the only thing I'm seeing on itch is she does have the official soundtrack available. She also has a website with a list of games, some stuff. Oh, I know, Jordan, you're an Avatar fan. She's got an Avatar Last Airbender post on her, on her page right
On her
now.
Twitter or what?
On her Facebook page. Games by Kinmoku.
Okay,
Kinmoku.
I'm googling it.
Also, her other game is Memories, or currently in development. So definitely, I dropped her Twitter handle in the chat. Definitely make sure to check her out. But yeah, I'm not seeing. I almost got vibes. I almost actually thought this might be Angela. What was it? Angela He? You guys remember the game? Oh, Layla's gonna remember this name. I forgot that. It was another visual novel we did, a romance visual novel earlier in Potions and Pixels.
Romance.
With
Was it a new life?
A New Life. Thank you, Legend. I almost thought
You're
that these were connected when I saw that the style.
The art style is similar, yeah.
The drawings. I did like. I gotta say, I'm a fan of the rotoscoping. I don't know how many people like. There's very few uses of that. If you're for those watching that are unfamiliar with that, it's essentially like you're almost like tracing real life. So you like film something. It was famously used in Prince of Persia. It was also used in what was it? Richard Linklater's films, like
Darkly.
Scanner Darkly, and he had a film before that. Yeah, he did those. He also big shout out to a game that's very unknown but needs to be, The Last Express. Also from Jordan Mechner, the creator of Prince of Persia. The whole game was rotoscoped, so they filmed the whole game like a movie, and then they drew on top of it. And so that's kind of the effect you're seeing here, which I think is really cool and gives a life to it that you don't see too much. Well, I don't want to hold you guys over. I appreciate, shout out to Benzo Clown, who says, who had me saying in quotes, "We're over time just means the convo is alive." LOL, keep it going, Mike. I appreciate it so much, Benzo Clown, and all of you guys for participating in the chat with us. It was nice to see the audience stream growing throughout the whole night, and you guys were jumping in here and watching along with us. So we really appreciate that so much. Any last thoughts on this before we do our outro?
No, I'm good.
This was a good time this week, y'all. Always a fun time with you guys and everybody watching. A lot of fun. Before we do our outro, I don't have a fancy graphic or a fancy transition here for this, so I'm just going to literally pop this up on the screen right here. But if you want to check this out, we have a really special program coming up next Tuesday, or this Tuesday, I should say. Tuesday, January 26th, Potions and Pixels, in partnership with Charlotte Gamers Network, we're presenting this conversation with Christos Gage. Christos Gage is somebody, if you're not familiar with his name, you are definitely familiar with his work.